If you were invested in the emo punk scene of the early 2010s in any way, you probably would recognize the name Front Porch Step. He was a pretty big deal back in the day. With his unique acoustic emo sound, he was filling up tents at Vans Warped Tour and selling out shows. And then all of a sudden, that all just went away with some allegations that came out, and he basically became canceled before it was cool, basically. But what actually happened? How did this guy go from becoming one of the most beloved guys in the scene to the most hated in the industry? And now currently in his life, he is professing Christ to be his savior. So what happened for his life to lead in such a roller coaster fashion? Well, we're about to find out. I've been wanting to have Jake on the show for a while just to share his crazy story and just to show the amazing things that God did in his life and what's he up to now. So I'm very excited to show you guys my conversation with Jake McElfresh of Front Porch Step.
Because you Front Porch Step. He shouldn't be allowed to make music. His privilege should be revoked.
You're trying to control me, bringing up the old me. Honey, we both know that that's not fair. You just made a perfect man inside your mind.
The difference between you and me is I know who I am, and I am very proud of that. So you go ahead and sit and watch my set. Thank you very much. Thanks for the ticket money, dude. Appreciate it.
You just made a perfect man inside your mind. You just made a perfect man inside your mind.
But yeah, so your story though, that's what we're here to talk about. That was, the rabbit hole that I went down, like the more I learned about you. And so I just wanted to talk about that, how I think this would be like the like movie plot summary, or like for the movie poster being like, he went from being the most beloved, one of the most beloved singers in the scene, and then all of a sudden the most hated, and now he's a Christian. So
yeah,
just a whole roller coaster right there, a whole like 3-story act right there. And so let's get into how that, like, what transpired, and I guess first of all, let's talk about like how you first like broke into the scene, because you were pretty unique in the sense that your music was very acoustically driven, but it still had that like emo punk kind of attitude. So how did you break into that scene?
So I was in a pop punk band from Zanesville, Ohio, when I was like 21. No. Oh man, I'm really bad with timelines. I was on another podcast. I don't know if you watched it, Angela.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, my timelines were so terrible. And that I also want to not rabbit trail, but you also asked me specifically to share all this. I did not text you and ask you if I can go on your podcast and share my story. So let's make that clear.
Right. Yeah. I've been the one who's been trying to get you on.
We've heard this before. No. So I was in a pop punk band called the Grandkids in Zanesville, with guys that I was probably not the greatest to at the time. It was a bunch of drama. Like, they kicked me out of the band, and if I look in hindsight, I was probably a whiny, like, just there's certain words, man, that in Christianity I struggle to lose. Like, curse words are really easy for me not to say anymore, but there's things like D-bag that I'm like I don't know a better description of my former self, Lord. So
that's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, man, just kind of a jerk. It's not like they were perfect, but I was like, nobody wants me in their band. I'm gonna go, and you'll see comments, by the way. Which, dude, I'm a comment reader. I'm the biggest self-deprecator. What I hate is I'll respond to something, and someone will be like, he's like searching Twitter for things about him, and I'm like, I was. But you're not supposed to like
You
call
got
that fact
me.
out like I was. I only found your mean tweet because I searched my own name.
Right.
But sorry, I'm rabbit trailing again.
No,
But
you're good.
kind of a jerk. But I was like, oh, these people don't want to be in a band with me. That's where I was going with that. Is I've seen someone comment be like, no wonder nobody wanted to be in a band with him. Blah blah blah. It's like, okay, but I was like, I'm going to go out and do my own thing. And I had a buddy, he's still, a friend that I don't get to see as often, but a buddy, Kenny, showed me Chris Conley from Saves the Day playing the song Hold in a back alley. And he's like, you can do this. Like, you can just write your own music, just play acoustic. And my dad is a big country guy. I grew up around campfires with Garth, Merle, Waylon, everybody and their brother. And I knew the basic 3-4 chords that you needed to know how to write songs. 4 chords and the truth. So I started writing music, and I played basically everywhere that would have me. That's one of those weird things. I know too many insanely talented people that will never make it just because that's how the world works. And so
Same.
So I'm not like, oh, you got to grind, but if you want a chance at all, you've got to play everywhere. It's the only way to get eyes on you. Well, that was also pre-social media. Mm-hmm. I had a MySpace and a Zanga at this time, so played everywhere. I'm not making this the overview. I'm sorry. I'll speed up. But
no, you're good.
Played everywhere, and it just nothing was really going on. But at the time, man, I really saw myself as this victim. My dad and mom split. Like, my dad cheated on my mom. And, that was really hard, which it was. But it's like, that's really hard for me. And my mom didn't really discipline me. And when I say she didn't discipline me, I mean, if you do that again, I'm taking your Xbox away. Then never take my Xbox away. And I say this, probably to the anger of some, but my mom probably should have smacked me in the mouth a few times in my life that she didn't. And I really played this role up, man. Like, I wouldn't clean my room. This is all important, by the way. I think this is far more important to this story than any details, especially theologically with what we're going to get into.
Yeah, we're building the lore.
Yeah, so I like wouldn't clean my room, and my mom and my mom and my sister would be like, your room's disgusting. They'd be like, oh, I'm depressed because my dad left. I'm going to go kill myself. And then maybe I didn't do it consciously. It was subconsciously, but it's like my sister would clean my room. Everyone would feel bad for me for a few months. I wouldn't have to go get a job because my mom would feel bad for me. And I would kind of just coast. And so I'm writing these like emo songs about how hard my life is. And really, man, I live in a decent neighborhood. I'm in a broken home. But I really don't have anything to complain about universally, other than not having like an active dad at the time, which we're great now. Love my dad. Casey listens to this. That's very important. But yeah, dude, just kind of obnoxious baby, man. And I thought kind of everyone owed something to me. And I wasn't, necessarily ever the best looking guy. I'm pretty clear, like transparent about that. Like, I love my wife. She's beautiful. I think she married me for my personality. Like, and that's okay. Like, it's funny, but like, it's like, I was already a nobody when she met me, and actually she's not even impressed with me at all. It's really funny. I'm sidebarring, but I'll like play, like I wrote You Look Nothing Like My Dreams about her, and I think it's the greatest song I've ever written. And
it's very sweet.
Yeah, but man, like I could just sit and play guitar for her, and she's just like, hey, I'm trying to watch my show. And I'm like, you know how many people would just love to be here right now? If you're ever in any kind of fame whatsoever, marry a woman that doesn't care about you, like your music whatsoever. Like, sure. I would never, if I could go back in time, I would never date a fan ever again. I would go, if like Front
Mm-hmm.
Porch Step was where it was in the height and I could go back, I would literally speak to strangers who thought I was ugly, and I had to like hang out with them for a few weeks for them to like be interested in me. I wouldn't tell them that I played music. I wouldn't tell them anything,
Mm-hmm.
because you're putting, you're you're basically letting someone date a persona of you and not you, and
Right.
if that makes sense. So
Sure, yeah. I mean, and then like once that all went downhill, like,
Yeah.
if that's what was what attracted them, you to them, or them to you, they would have lost interest.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
That's going to come up a lot in this story. So
yeah.
the beginning is a lot bigger than the rest of it. So I was in and out of church. My mom was raised Roman Catholic, and my grandma, who I wrote the song, and I'm saying some of these things for anybody that listens to my music.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say that I'm okay. I wrote about my grandma who passed. It was my mom's mom. I was very close with her. She, very devout Roman Catholic, rosaries all day long, never missed a mass. Just that kind of woman. And so I had that influence on my life of be a good person, which is basically a lot of people are going to get mad, but the basics of Roman Catholic doctrine. Do good,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
which is good, by the way. Do good, definitely. But and then I kind of got into that. I've learned to not say it was Southern Baptist because, as you probably know, by the way, what is your what's your? I'm not asking you to all your doctrinal beliefs, but what type of church
Yeah.
do you go to?
Well, I currently go to a non-denominational
Okay.
that had Baptist roots, but before that, I grew up Pentecostal, actually.
Okay, very interesting.
And I still consider myself like, on the charismatic continuationist side, but I'm also very, sympathetic to I believe that you're reformed, like that.
Oh, dude, this is we're gonna get really complicated because I have no.
Well, I'm complicated too. See, that's the thing.
Yeah, I have
So-
no friends at all in this world, and when I say that, so now, obviously I'm fast forwarding a lot, but we'll go back to that.
Sure.
I'm reformed in my view of salvation. I don't want to use big words here, but obviously soteriology. But I'm a 4-point Calvinist, so I don't actually believe that Christ only died for the elect. I like what Piper says, that when you walk into the door of heaven, over the door says whoever shall come, and then when you go into heaven and you turn around, it says chosen before the foundation of the world. I've decided that I'm not intelligent or wise enough to figure out how God saves people. I'm just glad he does. But
Yeah.
I do believe that I was predestined before the foundation of the world to be saved, because that's what the Bible says. But I am not of the camp that Christ only came to die for the elect, because I think that's and I'm regurgitating. Basically, I need to make this clear on podcast.
Yeah.
I have a problem with Christian influencers, because there's no like elders, like there's no Christian council of elders over social media that's like, yeah, we trust this guy. So you shouldn't listen to anything I say. You should listen to your pastor and read your Bible
or me.
Yeah, well, yeah, listen to him. I know.
So not to listen to me.
But I'm saying, like, when I say these things, it's good to be humble and teachable. And so there's a lot of things that I set under my pastor, who I love dearly, that I believed because he taught them to me. And one of the greatest things he ever taught me, actually, is most people's theology comes from the person that loved them first and shared the gospel with them. But then you kind of get your own. Not that it's different, but one of the greatest things I heard was, it was actually, are you familiar with Paul Washer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of all the famous people I've met, I'm going to name drop Paul Washer. So
nice.
We were at, dude, it's not a cool story. It is, but I was at a G3 conference, and I walked up to him and I was like, hey, so I said a lot more than that, but I said, hey, so you and my pastor believe that Song of Solomon not only is a beautiful poem and depiction of godly sex, but is also a picture of Christ in the church. MacArthur, Steve Lawson, all these people that are on the same dais as you disagree with you. How do you guys marry those together? How do you guys, that's just an example. because I read Wesley and Calvin. You know what I mean? I want to hear everybody, as long as they aren't completely off their rocker. And he said, "Would you rather be in a?" He said, "Young man, would you rather be in a room with 5 people who just agree with you and don't care, or would you rather be in a room with 5 men who disagree with you but are willing to fight tooth and nail for truth with you and love you through it?" And I was like, obviously that one. And he said, in 5 years, you're going to have a different theology than you have now. And in 10 years, you might come back to where you are now because you realized you were right in the first place. There's only one hero in the story, and it's Jesus Christ. You and I are just the losers that had to be saved by our elder brother. And he never answered my question. And like, you know what I mean? And so
that's great, though. That's still a great answer.
That was an amazing answer, but he never answered. It's kind of like God with Job. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, well. Yeah, I went and cried in the corner for a little bit. And, no, he's dude.
Paul Washer has that effect, yeah.
Well, he's such a gentle and kind man that's terrifying, very terrifying in a good way.
Yeah,
I think he has that sense of godliness that just it's on display. He's very gentle and kind, but when it comes to the things of the Lord, like he's serious. Like this is a serious thing that we're talking about. I could learn from that because I'm too silly most of the time.
Same here.
But when I say I have no friends, like I think the words, just like the word Calvinist is stupid, because if you put me and 10 other Calvinists in a room together, you're going to get 11 different versions of Calvinism. I've never met like someone who agrees fully. It's so nuanced to a certain point. That I don't even like using the word. As a matter of fact, my family, who is my wife's family, is far more charismatic than me, used to say, he's not a Christian, is he? I thought he was Calvinist. They thought that there was like a difference, which some people listening might be like, there is. But I'm not in the camp that God's not doing anything miraculous right now. I'm in the camp, and this is actually part of my story. We'll get into this. This is actually a perfect segue because we went Roman Catholic, then the other one, the other way. So I believe in, and I think Eric, our friend from Sower, and I talked about this a little bit. I don't want to say what, I don't want to misconstrue his words or speak for him, but I believe that tongues are intelligent language that can be understood and interpreted. So, for instance, you drop me in the middle of Zimbabwe, the Holy Spirit might give me the supernatural ability to speak their language to share the gospel, and someone would be there to interpret it. They would be able to hear it clearly, and that's what tongues are. I would not be in the camp that is an unintelligible language, that's a spiritual language or a heavenly language or the language of angels. But I'm also not, like I said, in the camp of like God's not doing anything. I'm all about praying for healing. Our elders lay hands on people that have cancer. You know, it's a biblical command for the elders to come together and lay hands on the sick and to pray for them. But I don't believe that I have the apostolic authority to say, in God's name, be healed, and they're going to be healed. Because I know that I believe that God, based on my Bible reading, and from my personal experience in my own life of shambles, that God does beautiful work with awful things. And I think it's there. The Christian receives brain cancer, whether it goes away or not, because God could have, jumped in front of their head and stopped the brain cancer from happening, right? So I'm not saying necessarily that he put it there, because some people would say that. But he let it happen for a reason. He works all things together for good for those who are in Christ Jesus. All things. And so I'm not in the camp that God's not healing, like I said, but I'm not in the, if you have enough faith, this prosperity,
Oh no. Yeah.
If you have enough faith, the Lord will heal you, but I'm all about praying for healing. So the reformers, I'm not reformed, because I don't believe that God only died for the elect, and I'm actually and this is, I don't really want to get into this because I would want to talk to every person individually for 3 hours. But yeah. I'm a pre-tribulation, premillennial dispensationalist. So I'm not even allowed into reform camps because I'm not amillennial or post-millennial or post-militant either. And so I really don't belong anywhere other than my church and my friends. And so, and even we disagree sometimes with some things. And that's the beautiful thing is I think there's things where there's room for disagreement and it doesn't affect your salvation. And I think like if you were to ever tell me that I have to speak in tongues to be saved. First of all, I would take you where Paul says, do all speak in tongues, clearly.
Right. Yeah.
We have each have our own gifts, but I would say that you're adding to the gospel and that's heresy. Not that you believe in an unintelligible language, but that I have to speak it to receive salvation. I would call you a heretic. Do you see what I mean there? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So we'll move on from all that. And by the way, I don't think, based on my eschatology, I don't think everything that Israel is doing cannot be criticized, and that if you criticize them, you're cursed. We're not in that camp either. So
right, yeah, same here. Believe me, I've been in the weeds in that.
Well, what's real? I'm going to say this. Can anybody listen? Even if there's only 10 people that ever hear this, just like Calvinism, dispensationalism has 1,000 different versions, and they're not all named. But I'm assuming you're familiar with John MacArthur. Yeah. Yeah. I know you knew Vody. There is and everybody would agree with this. That's sound. That there is a stark difference between John MacArthur's dispensationalism and John Hagee's. Right. That there's. Well, I'm not looking for the blood moon every night and guessing when the world's going to end and when the rapture is going to happen. So I get, if I say any of these things without explanation, there's a lot of asterisks that get put by my name that are unfair, if that makes sense. They're like, oh, this guy's one of those pro-Israel guys. That's like, no, dude. I do think that there's a place for the spiritual Israel and the current Israel, which you and I are both going to get murdered, is an apostate nation that has rejected the Messiah. And I hope that they all come to saving faith in Christ. So let's say that. But and I love them, by the way.
Right.
But
yeah.
So Roman Catholicism. And
right.
then
Yeah. Before you'd figured out any of this.
Yes. I get into
there was a starting point.
Yeah. I get into like the Southern Baptist world. And that's what the point I was making is like Tom Askell is a part of the Southern Baptist denomination. I love Tom Askell to death. I go to he probably doesn't even know me, but I go to his church when I'm in the area in Florida.
Oh, cool.
But he is not the same as formerly Southern Baptist Rick Warren. So this isn't an attack on the Southern Baptist Church, but even people like Askell would agree there is this disease, in my opinion, of this raise your hand and come to the altar, say a prayer, and if you said that prayer, you're saved, right? So I went from this kind of growing up with my grandma, this workspace salvation, like be good, and then I hear like, hey man, do you want to go to hell? No. Do you want to go to heaven? Well, yeah. Okay. Ask Jesus into your heart and you'll be saved. And literally anything you do, he'll forgive you for. And you have to know that someone is most likely not regenerate if they have to ask anything I do, right? Like anything,
right? Like
it's like, oh, well, why are you even asking that? Like that's a weird question to ask for someone who, their heart has been changed to love God and love things that are good and hate things that are evil. Why are you questioning the boundary line? Why don't you just run past the boundary line? And if that makes sense. By the way, I noticed on the podcast I did with Angela, I say if that makes sense after every sentence because I'm self-conscious and I think I sound stupid. So
we all have
sense.
our isms. We all have our isms. I know that I have a couple. I can't really. I know I say the thing about it is, I think I get that from my dad. There might be a couple others that I just can't think of right now. But you're good.
A lot of hooting and hollering.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I literally I was a part of a youth group later on. So this is the Baptist thing. I'm like 10, 11, 12. My parents tried to reconcile. We all got baptized together. And by the way, Jonathan Wright is about to release his Power Team video. And in one of the comments, I said, every time the Power Team came into town, I got saved because I wanted a free rolled up pan or one of the rebarbs that they bit into the fish. I have one somewhere at my mom's house.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So
that video might be out by the time this one is, but yeah, he told me that he was making that video, and I was like, I have no idea who that is. And then I brought it up to my dad, and he was like, yeah, I think I remember like talking to, because my dad was a pastor, and he's like, I think I remember meeting one of the guys and talking to them because they were trying to like be at our, like do something at our church, and it didn't end up working out. It's like, why is this new to me? I have no idea. So I'm excited to watch.
I feel
that
bad
video.
for you, man. That's actually the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm like 10, 12, 13. I kind of fall off the beaten path. And this is important. I drank and smoked weed from like 13 to 15. And then quit everything. I became what they call straight edge. I think I'm the only person that exists in this world.
Yeah, you're like a dinosaur. Like they don't exist anymore.
Well, what I'm saying is I don't not claim it, but I don't wear the shirts. I don't talk about it anymore, and I still haven't
have the tattoos with the X.
Well, I have them, but I'm saying I don't talk about them anymore. So there's this common thing, dude. This needs to be a 4-hour podcast. So there's this thing in straight edge where if anybody says, I'm not going to start drinking and doing drugs. I just don't want to be straight edge anymore. I don't want the label on me. They become an alcoholic within a month. It's like a thing, right? So I think I'm the only person, because the other day, one of my friends was like, yeah, dude, now we all broke edge. I was like, what are you talking about, dude? I never, like, I'm still straight edge. It's like people don't know because I never talk about it anymore. So I think I'm the only person ever that stopped claiming straight edge that still doesn't drink or do drugs. And so... what are we talking about? I'm going to do this a lot, Clifford. So
you're just talking about how you quit at like 15.
Yeah. And so a buddy of mine invited me to a youth group, and this was a charismatic church, but it wasn't as charismatic as I realized until I went to a summer camp that they sent us to. And this is my first introduction to tongues, where a guy, and by the way, this whole time I think I'm a Christian. I don't need to go to church. I have a personal relationship with the Lord. I said a prayer when I was like 12 years old. I have something in my heart. I was baptized. I was dipped in the water. I have my own Christianity, and accountability doesn't exist in my life. So I started going to this youth group, and we go to these camps. And the first year was my first experience of this camp. It was my first experience with tongues. And I thought this white, like, some people say they're different, but this like Italian white looking dude was speaking Arabic. I was like, what is this? And then I thought it was strange that the church that sent me there, knowing that they teach that, didn't give me like a precursor. Like, hey, you're going to hear some stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Just kind of throwing you into the weeds there.
Yeah. And the guy laid hands on me and was like, I know that you're broken and you have a lot of problems. And it was all things at the moment where I was like, this guy's seeing into my soul, dude. Like this guy. But it's like, bro, walk outside. Be like, man, you're broken, bro. And it's like, yeah, dude. Yeah. Like, how did you know? It's all very, and I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying there's no prophecy ever anymore. Period. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't heard one that I believe.
Sure.
I see too many men in the Bible falling in terrifying fear of angels and God. And then you have Susie down the street that's like, I talk to him every morning when I'm doing my makeup, and he talks to me back. And it's like,
God
yeah, dude.
told me to tell you that.
Yeah, the oceans. Yeah, God's voice, like ocean waters roaring like a storm, just comes into your bathroom, and you're just like, oh, what's up, bud? Hey, like, how's it going? What's up, G? You know, G for God. That was a pun.
Right, yeah.
But it's like, nah, I don't believe you. And people get really offended. I don't say that straight up, but I'm just like, okay, God talks to you every day. That's great. The Lord talks to me, by the way, Clifford, when I open my Bible and read the living and active word of God, sharper than any two-edged sword.
Right, yeah.
So I start speaking in tongues. And I'm just like, you know, whatever. I'm not making fun of it. Once again, I have so many people I love.
Better not. My feelings will get hurt.
That's okay. I would not intentionally hurt your feelings, but if something I say hurts your feelings, we'll talk about it. But
I'll just hang up on you.
please do. I would by now, anyways. So I was like, oh, crazy. But I'm like a heathen. And now I'm not sleeping with women. That's kind of a part of like what straight edge was. It's like not sleeping around either. And so I was still a virgin. I wasn't like that, but I was like, getting into fights, probably at that point watching pornography, just living a terrible life openly. But I'm a Christian. I said a prayer. I believe in God. Right. And I was kind of going through some rough patches with some different things. And by the way, we're into my late teens, early 20s now. And I tried to go to Nashville and I thought I was like going to go be a star. And then the local paper did a piece on me and a bunch of people donated like money. When I say a bunch of money, I mean hundreds, not hundreds of thousands or even thousands. But I went to Nashville and stayed there for like 3 days and went home, dude. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And so to get, once again, this is the biggest part of it, and then we'll move very fast. I'm posting YouTube videos, and I wrote this song called Island of the Misfit Boy. And it's the most depressing song I've ever written. And it's honestly, I find it slightly cringy, but I love to sleep because I pretend that I'm dead, but I hate waking up because it's hard. And by the way, this whole time, dude, living at home with my mom that pays all the bills, I quit every job I have because I'm lazy, but I'm like, I love to sleep because I pretend that I'm dead. Like I hate my life. And I had a great life, dude. Really, I had everything easy.
Well, see that's like the meme about like all the like the emo bands like complaining about life, and they all like live in like suburban neighborhoods and everything. Yeah. And they're like, I got to get out of this town.
Well, this is like a completely different. But I am the white kid that lived in a decent neighborhood that went to worse neighborhoods, hung out with my black friends. Not saying all black people live in worse neighborhoods. Everybody understands my point. Shut
Disclaimer.
Up. No, I don't care. If you're thinking even right now, like, what's he mean by that? Shut up, politely as possible. No, but I went to like worse neighborhoods and hung out with like my black friends, and I like made myself impoverished. Like I acted like I was poor. You know what I mean? Like my mom was on. My mom's probably one of the few people I know that was on welfare and worked herself out of it. Like legitimately used the program to help pay her bills, got a good job and worked herself out of it. But I pretended to live a much rougher life than I actually lived. Okay. And so I'm releasing this sad song. Someone posted it to Reddit, which back then I didn't even know what Reddit was. And now that everyone's kind of very familiar with Reddit, I was on the front page of Reddit. I was like number 20. Wow. I don't want to exaggerate, but I was like number 20. And it had 300,000 views in one day on a YouTube video. And I went from being this like dude. And by the way, this is an excuse for any of my behavior. I think you're wise enough to know that psychology matters when it comes to why people do things and, those kind of things. It doesn't mean it's an excuse, because a lot of people are like, oh, like, I'm ugly and fat, so I can do a bunch of wrong things. That's not what I'm saying. There's still a psychology to these things. Mm-hmm. So I like went from like women really not being interested in me at all to like my inbox being full of like not only pretty women, but like dudes who were like, you're amazing. Like, we love you. And this is the guy that got rejected from all these bands and all this stuff. And they're like, your lyrics are amazing. Like, you're amazing. And there's nothing worse for a spoiled brat kid that thinks the world owes him everything and that he's the biggest victim in the world to get a platform and everyone praise him. Like that was the worst. And so this is where it'll speed up. So I post this cover of a song called I Don't Mind by a band called Defeater. And Defeater's booking agent found it liked it. By the way, he was the booking agent for Saves the Day at one point. He was the booking agent for like most of my favorite bands growing up. So like Judge, Gorilla Biscuits, oh geez, they're all losing me. But this dude didn't have like an in to like the Kanye West, and I don't mean current Kanye West. I was talking about a popular artist back then, but that like big world. But in the punk world, he had an in to he knew everybody, and so he basically managed me and did everything for free. He ended up getting a hold of the dude who owns Pure Noise Records, got me a deal that if I go back in time, I would never do again. I got no advance, and they have 80% of my earnings of my biggest record ever, and
Right.
I didn't get an advance or anything. Anybody listening, if you call a lawyer and they say it's $500 for him to review your record contract and you can't afford it, go tell the record label that you need 2 months to make $500 from your job or whatever you need. And if you don't, and they rescind the record deal, it wasn't meant to be. Don't take an 80-20 without an advance, dude. Don't do it. Anyways, that's a whole
Duly
different
noted.
story. It's a whole different story. Record labels are almost a thing of the past now, actually, with streaming.
It's true. Yeah.
A lot of people are doing single signings. Like, they'll sign you for a single.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, push it real hard, try to get y'all TikTok
That makes
famous.
sense. A lot of artists are coming out with singles. Yeah.
I mean, I come out with singles because I can't afford to record an album. So,
yeah.
but
Same.
so I get signed to Pure Noise, which was huge. I'd already kind of blown up. At one point, some girl, I left my computer on at someone's house, and she went in and deleted all my YouTube videos. So all my original videos of plays, like she deleted my account, is gone.
Wow.
But I still had a pretty big, for that world, I had a pretty big following. So I go from, I'm talking like a month, dude. I was like nobody. And then I'm on the internet. And then now I'm signed to Pure Noise. And then now I'm in California at Kevin Lyman's, the guy that owns and runs Warped Tour. I'm at his house party. And I meet the owner of Hopeless Records. And I'm like, oh, I love your record label, but I know like you guys would never sign me. He's like, oh, we love you. We would have loved to talk to you. And I'm like, you know who I am? Like, it goes from, I'm literally just a depressed, lazy nobody that thinks the world owes him something, and now the world is giving him everything, at least to me, right? A lot of people that would hear my story would be like, I don't know who Saves the Day or Bayside or any of these bands are. But if you would have told 15-year-old me that 20-year-old or 21-year-old me was like friends with Chris from Saves the Day at the time, I would have cried. Like, it would have been the greatest thing. I actually sang Bayside's Winter, their song Winter that they wrote about their drummer passing. I sang their song at my friend's funeral 8 years before I ever met Anthony Ranieri. So these were, I was hanging out with Led Zeppelin and The Who and the Beatles,
Pretty much,
basically. Yeah. I played one Warped Tour date in Cincinnati, and the tent was like pretty packed for a one-day guy. It was a pretty cool thing. I went on a December tour with Christopher Drew, aka Never Shout Never, and Nick Santino from Rocket to the Moon was the other acoustic guy, and it was like a 3-date acoustic tour. It was my first real tour. That's how I met my manager at the time, who became my manager, and he was Chris from Never Shout Never's manager as well. And Kevin asked me from Warped Tour to play the acoustic winter tour for Warped Tour. Sorry, somebody's calling me.
No, you're good.
And that was Transit, Nick from Hit the Lights, Brian Marquis, which Brian's, you may not know his name, he's the man. Anybody that knows Brian loves Brian. But Brian Marquis and me. And that's kind of a really good, example. We became friends, but basically everyone in that 15-passenger van, which we all rode together, hated me. To the point that they were messaging Jake Round for Pure Noise to be like, this kid like whines all the time. Like, he's
gotcha.
Like he's like, I don't remember the exact words, but like entitlement. Like I was entitled. I thought I was better than all of them. And by the way, Transit was one of my favorite bands as well. And so was Hit the Lights. But we became friends. We kind of, friends are loose words. To me, they were friends. What I call a friend now is different than what I used to call a friend.
Sure, yeah. Maybe more like kind of coworkers, sort of.
Yeah, but like really, really enjoyed each other's time at some point. Really got into gambling. You know what I mean? Sure. Gambled a lot with Transit. Cool. But all dice. That when you're straight edge, you got to find a vice somewhere, and gambling was mine.
I was gonna say, I guess that doesn't fit the straight edge list.
Yeah, you can gamble all you want, dude. It's fine. So, and that's kind of where it started. And all this is really important because was there ever like a guy in high school that was just really mean to you? Like just really awful, just not a great guy. And if you heard a rumor about him, you're almost excited for the prospect that it's true.
I was homeschooled, but I get what you're saying.
But like, okay, so a guy's just kind of a jerk, and then someone tells you that he beats his girlfriend. You're just like, yeah, makes sense, dude. That guy's a jerk. Oh, I hope he goes to jail, beats his girlfriend. It's like you're almost excited that he's as bad of a person as you think he is, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I was kind of a jerk, and then I get offered Warped Tour, which I'd already been offered it, but I go on Warped Tour, and my manager Danny was like, "Hey man, just be, keep a level head. You might only have a few people in the tent when you go. Don't get your what's the word? Not the opposite of get your hopes up. Like don't get let down when nobody knows who you are.
Right.
And as I said in that past interview, all of this is to explain my downfall, not to talk about how cool I am. Because as you know, the end story, for anybody that doesn't know the end story, it's a bad story.
Yeah.
So it went the first day it was in Texas, the tent was packed, and we're like, I wonder who's playing after me. And virtually everyone in the tent knew every word to my songs. And we're like, what is this? And the next day, same thing. The next day, the same thing. And it got to the point where I was in line, and Warped Tour is really interesting because you would think like the really big bands are off somewhere in a hotel, and then the smaller bands, no, dude, you're just in the cafeteria. Like Ronnie Radke's in front of you, getting his food with security and just standing in front of you, and the guys from Mayday Parade are behind you, and I can't think of his name, the makeup dude, very famous, Jeffree Star.
Yeah,
Jeffree Star standing next to you in line for a shower, and I'm complimenting his Biggie Smalls shirt that he's wearing, and like that, like you're just next to all these people, right?
Wow.
And so it went from, oh, I'm in Mayday Parade. I'm in like, and like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Who are you? I'm like, I'm Front Porch Step. They're like, oh, cool, man. Never heard of you, bud. To like, eventually it was like, oh, dude, I heard like you're killing it right now, man. Like I heard you're doing really well. And bro, once again, man, give that victim, baby, like just, and I think it's important for this, and I'm much more comfortable talking to you than I was a woman about this, just for appropriateness sake. So, by the way, for anybody listening, I won't say anything that is vulgar in the sense of inappropriateness, but
right,
we are talking about serious things.
We got
here.
mature things to
mature
talk
themes.
About. Yeah, mature themes. Yeah, for sure.
Pornography was a horrible part of my life through all of this. Okay, and I think. Once again, not an excuse for anything that I did do, but if I get drunk and go murder a bunch of people, I can't say I murdered people because I was drunk. But if I wasn't drinking alcohol like a maniac every day, I might have not gone on a murderous rage. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So you're guilty, right? So pornography was a huge thing. And the thing about pornography, man, is there's a study, bro, with all these like vicious, awful murderers where almost all of them cite or early pornography as like the start of their downfall as humans. And we live in a world now where it's like, don't insult sex workers. Like, you know what I mean? It's a good thing there, you know, but man, it is really one of the most vile, and I say this out of deep respect for the souls of all the women and men that partake in the filming and the watching. It is one of the most vile and disgusting things that exist, and there is only victims in pornography. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care if you don't feel violent, like you're a victim, and it's an awful, disgusting thing. And I didn't have like the talk when I was younger, and like most men, I would say like today, my view of sex was pornography. And so, and that's how I thought women like to be talked to. That's how that changed my view of women. And what it also does to your brain is you watch a woman and then you get bored with her and then you just go find another woman to watch. And it trains your brain that women are worthless and they don't have intrinsic value in themselves. They're throwaways, right?
Right.
And this, by the way, all this language doesn't bode well for accusations against me. They're like, he's admitting to everything. It's like, no. Right. I'm admitting to having a poor view of women, and being a very awful and disrespectful man that did not see I saw women as objects. I really did.
Right.
But that's not an admission of guilt of everything that's said about me.
Sure.
We'll get into that. But so I have all these women texting me, and like, this is the truth of all the allegations. I was probably texting at one time 5 to 20 women, right? And I'm 21, 22, and 23 during the span of my career where all these allegations came in, right? Some of them were 16, some of them were 17, and that's where all the allegations come from, of like me being the worst person in the world. But under this iceberg of 16 and 17-year-olds, there's a giant iceberg at the bottom of 18 to 45-year-old women that I'm texting, right? I, at the time, it's not something I'm proud of, but I, at the time, didn't see anything weird about me texting 16 or 17-year-olds. I think let's be clear here, I think it's wrong. I think it's gross. I think it's weird. I don't think it's pedophilia. I think it's weird. There's a difference between talking to a girl who's too young for you, not mature enough, you're too old for her, versus having I don't even know the exact definition, but an affection for prepubescent children.
Right.
Like, there's clearly a difference. And we see the disgusting nature of pornography in these girls that are 17 and they're about to get their OnlyFans account, like the midnight they turn 18, and they make $4 million that night because all these men were waiting. It's like, so were all these men, by the way, I'm not justifying my actions here, I'm just saying, were all these men pedophiles at 11:59, and then they cease to be pedophiles at midnight? You know, it's so that was happening.
It's just the over sexualization of everything in our world.
Yes,
just,
everything's over sexualized.
The degeneracy that's just kind of come out of that. So whether it's like pedophilia or not, it's just all bad anyways. So
well, yeah, but as a Christian, I'm super adamant about terms, and I'm not saying you're not, but God is a God of justice, and so I will not stand before God for being a pedophile. I'll stand before God for mistreating women because I'm not a pedophile, and I think that matters. I'll and also, man, I'm saying, I need to preface what I'm saying where both should be illegal before I say what I'm about to say. Both of these things, A and B, should be illegal, right?
Right.
But in the state of Ohio, if you receive naked images of anyone under the age of 18, but especially 16 or 17-year-olds, it is considered child pornography, okay? So many men, there's stories you hear, and women, have you heard like they're 18 and their 17-year-old girlfriend sent their pictures, the dad or mom found them, called the police, they're now in a sex offender registry. I was 18. I was 21, 22, and 23 when I was texting 16, 17-year-old girls. By the way, also, for every 16-year-old girl, 20, 18 to 40-year-old women. I need to be clear that I never slept with an underage girl. Right. I texted them, and that's not justifying. I knew that it was weird. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize or think about, like, if anyone found out the backlash would be that bad, right?
Right.
And I need, also for you and for anybody else listening, this was 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many nights I've cried to God, to people, about the mistakes I've made. And so if you see me being flippant or even smiling about the things I'm talking about, I'm 34, and this happened when I was 23. Like this official scandal did.
Right.
So we're talking 11 years past.
Yeah.
So this is a serious subject. I've had a lot of time to think about these things.
Sure, yeah, because that's the thing about it, is that there are two sides about this whole story. Is that, like, what you did was, was terrible, it was horrible, and it was sinful, but also there was an element of an overreaction with all of this.
Well, I wouldn't say an overreaction. I think I wouldn't say an overreaction. Mm-hmm. I would say so many lies got told mixed with the truth that nobody knows what the truth is.
Yeah.
Because here's my problem, and I'll say this, I don't care. Well, let's get back to my original point. In Ohio, if I received or sent pictures to 16 or 17-year-old girls as an adult, over 18, and by the way, you could have turned 18 yesterday and receive a naked photo of your 17-year-old girlfriend, and you were 17 6 hours ago, and you still receive child pornography, and you still will get put on a sex offender list, right? So that's receiving or distributing child pornography. But if I would have never received or sent a photo to a 16 or 17-year-old girl and would have got their parents' permission to fornicate with them or have sex with them and never got a photo of them, I would have broken no law in Ohio. At all. It's parental consent. You can just get the parents' permission to have sex with them. I didn't do that. But you can see that we have a very flawed structure of morality in this world, period. And I don't want to jump too far into the Christian side of things, but the Bible matters so much because we need a standard that's across the board. Because it can't be the majority of people. If it's the majority of people and you're in Nazi Germany, you're a Nazi because the majority of people says that was good, right? So if you can't go with the majority of what they say is good. There has to be a standard. So even if everybody says that rape is okay, rape is still wrong, right? And so I have these conversations, these gospel conversations with people where I'm like, if I go to the Middle East, like why is murder wrong, right? Or why is rape wrong? And they tell me, it hurts somebody or it's illegal. And I'm like, okay, what if I go to a Middle Eastern country where there's laws that in certain circumstances it allows a woman to be raped as punishment? Does that make it okay if the law says it's okay? Well, no. Okay, well, where do you get that from? Of course, I know, it's the law written on their heart that God gave them and blessed them with. But they have a veil over their eyes. They don't see that. Mm-hmm. So, where people should be mad, 16, 17, 18, 19 to 40, I was, first of all, lying to these women. I was using them. I was mistreating them. And when I say mistreating them, I wasn't like just mean to all these women, but I can't tell you how many people in the same day I'm texting the same thing to. You're the only one for me. You mean so much to me. There's nobody else. And there's like 7 other women that day. I was a really bad dude, right? Like just a terrible man. But the problem is that's not what's out on the internet. It's not. Sure. That's not what's said about me. And so it just skyrockets over time. The Warped Tour, quasi fame. Warped Tour is like its own little bubble of fame. Like Ronnie Radke's one of the few people that's like with Falling in Reverse has busted into like the mainstream, but a lot of bands lost their entire career when Warped Tour ended because that's all they had.
Sure.
I'm not going to name them. I don't want to be rude, but
no, yeah, you're right. But it was a big deal, back then.
It was
probably when like emo punk and such was probably at its peak in terms of popularity. I'd say.
Well, there's so many bands trying to bring it back because it's all they have.
Right.
They have no other pull when it comes to touring than Warped Tour, and if they don't have that, their whole structure of the band doesn't exist. And we were truly trying to pull out of that. So now you have a point where more people are starting to listen to me, and at one point Linkin Park played. And Kevin put me during Linkin Park, and he's like, "You're the only acoustic artist that will even draw a single person. I'm sorry. Like, I have to put you during them." My tent was full of people. It was packed.
Wow.
During Linkin Park. Same thing with The Day to Remember. They played the Chicago show to, like, stick it to Victory Records, and they, like, flew a plane over with some crap about Victory Records, and Kevin put me during A Day to Remember. You're the only person that's going to draw. And I was, like, very mad. And treated Kevin kind of like crap over it. And once again, just in like an entitled baby. And there was times, I'm throwing things out there now, but there was times where we would be playing dice and I would disagree with the rule set somebody had set, and I would like try to fight somebody over it. I tried to fight, like, I never got in a fight, but I like threatened maybe 5 people that tour, right? Just awful person. And so all this stuff is happening, and I'm still continuing to be a scumbag. I start dating a girl. I'm not going to name her, but basically anybody who has read anything or was a part of it back then knows who it is. But I was dating this girl, and she moved in with me, and we were together for like 3 months total. And she tells people we were together for years. But, like, it's a provable timeline that I met her at Warped Tour in 2014, and my career ended, and she's the one that, like, told everyone everything about me in October of 2014. Like, we met in the middle of 2014 and broke up in October, and she tells people that we were together for, like, over a year. And it's like, that's not even factually, that's factually, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm stupid, by the way.
Incorrect.
It's verifiable. It's not verifiable. It's verifiable that you're lying about this.
Yeah.
And I do feel really bad for her because she did get she was living with me. She moved across the country to be with me. I'm not belittling that I was like such trash to her, as in like a human. I was like texting other women. Like, what I'll tell this, not to like talk about inappropriate things, but I tried to convince her to let me sleep with her friend, and she said yes, until I found out that she also wanted to sleep with that girl's boyfriend as like a trade-off, and I freaked out. It's like, oh no, I can do that, but you're not sleeping with that dude. Like, I was a bad dude, right? So these are important things because at this point in my life, I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden things start going bigger and bigger and bigger, but these rumors online start to go like, oh, this dude texts 16-year-old girls, but it was so there was so much good said about me that like one person's comment under 1,000 nobody cared about, right? Well, in October of 2014, I'm on the Pure Noise Records tour, and it was me, so it was from bottom up, it was Brigades, Heart to Heart, me, Handguns, and State Champs. And it got to a point where, I'm not trying to exaggerate, and I'm also not talking crap about any of these bands. They're all incredible. But it got to a point where I would play, and you would see not a majority, but a lot of people leave. And you realize that those people were there just to see me, and they didn't know who Handguns or State Champs were. And by the way, both bands bigger than me now. State champs is huge and doing well, and I wish them all the best. None of this is trash talking people.
Right,
but my point is, this is all feeding into my ego. And there's videos. There's videos of there's a video of me in Boston where Heart to Heart has me do a guest spot on one of their songs, and you would have thought that John Mayer walked out at a Taylor Swift concert, just like, oh my God, he's here, like this dude's here, and that's all feeding into this, right? And I'm continuing to be a cheater. I've unfortunately at this point discovered high-end escorts, which is simply prostitution that sounds cool.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's a whole world of you can pay like and by the way, I don't want to cause any brothers in Christ to stumble in this episode, so I'm going to be quick and vague. But like, there's this whole world of like, you can pay like $800 to have like a woman that you never would even dream of having a conversation with. And I was like, oh, like this is cool. Like this isn't this isn't prostitution. These aren't hookers.
Right,
These are escorts, right? And so I get into that, and I'm just absolutely ruining my life. But by the way, I'm a Christian and I'm saved this whole time, dude. I said that prayer one day, but I said that prayer one day, bucko. And I get jumped in Oakland because some girl told this dude heard something about me, and I got jumped in Oakland. Well, the next day, Joel Madden but he had already tweeted about me. He had tweeted like, Joel Madden for Good Charlotte had said like, Front Porch Step's great, good songwriting always wins. And then Joel came to our show, and there's a picture of me and Joel Madden with I've got a black eye from the day before because I got jumped. So I'm like, I get jumped because people think I'm a pedophile because a lie was told. But I'm hanging out with Joel Madden for Good Charlotte, right? It's like this weird, I don't realize this eruption is about to happen in my life. So that's October. I get back from tour, and I'm home for maybe, I don't know how long. And then I fly out to California to write with Joel Madden and John Feldman. And we somewhere, fun fact, Clifford, I'll send it to you. Me, Joel Madden, and John Feldman wrote a song for Ross Lynch from the Disney Channel. And it exists. And it's Joel Madden singing it. It's just a demo. Okay. But while I was there, that girlfriend that was living at my house found my old phone, found out not only that I was cheating on her, but I was also cheating on her. Because, by the way, I believe in, even today as a married man, I believe in intellectual cheating. I believe that you can say nothing inappropriate and have, affectionate conversations with a woman that you should only be having with your wife. Right. But so when I say cheating, I don't mean sex, but I'm cheating on her with 16 and 17-year-olds and a plethora of other women. She finds a picture of a half-naked woman on my tour bus, and I basically just destroy her life, right, by her looking through my stuff. And back then I was like, how dare you look through my stuff, right? But in hindsight, I think the Lord blessed me by her looking through my stuff, right? Because I think I was on, I know I was on this horrible, horrible path. And she posts first of all, she posts the picture of the poor girl that was, she was of age, but she posted the picture of that girl in a Facebook group. Like, look at this picture I found. He's cheating on me, blah, blah, blah. She posts it, and she, tells people that I'm like talking to 16, 17-year-old girls and all this stuff. By the way, she doesn't say everything that's on my phone. She doesn't say he's also cheating on me with 20 other women that are of age. It's just, and so then she deletes everything, and she's still partially on my side, but we're broken up. And then it all comes to a head in late December, early January. New York Times, Entertainment Weekly, Billboard Magazine, Vogue Magazine, everybody is releasing an article, upcoming singer-songwriter embattled in sex scandal. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of the beginning of the Me Too movement, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so where people learned from me, and this is important for everybody in pop culture to listen, people learned from me what not to do. I went dark. I made some vague apologies because there's so many lies. I couldn't like address everything individually. So I was like, there's things about me that aren't true, but some things that are true, yada, yada, yada. And I went dark. And everyone took that as an admission of guilt. What people do now is you send cease and desist letters to every single person that accuses you. And if they're not willing to go to court, they got to take their post down. That's what people do. Whether you're guilty or not, that's what people do now. And so I did not do that. I let everyone say everything they're saying. I didn't sue anyone. And the record label, got scared immediately. Pure Noise. They got scared immediately. And by the way, I'm texting the owner of the label this whole time. It's not like he's not like, F you scumbag, never talk to me again. Everyone's really apologetic this is happening to me. But they took me off their roster, on the site. Even though I was still on their label, they physically took me off the roster. And all that did was confirm to everyone that I was guilty of everything said about me. Everyone got scared. And now you see people not getting scared. You see, I'm not going to name them out of kindness, but you see someone getting accused now, and they're on their Facebook. These are absolutely all lies. These women are not telling the truth, and I will be taking them all to court. And then you don't hear about their accusations ever again. But there was this fear of, backlash that everyone just kind of ran scared. And, dude, I've had text messages from famous people that are like, hey, buddy, you're still my friend, but we can't be friends publicly anymore. I'm sorry all this happened to you. But if all those people would have came out and said, hey, I know this guy, this doesn't look good, but I'm hearing a lot of really heinous things that don't seem true, and I think we should hear his side of the story, everyone just abandoned me. They're like, I don't want this to affect my business or my image on the internet, right? I don't want to be associated with this whole thing. So the truth is, I texted 16 and 17-year-old girls, including sending and receiving nude photos from them, but also the same thing with 118 to 40-year-old women, 40-some-year-old women, and that's it. And was involved in prostitution, all that stuff. There's these lies that get told where if you tell the truth, you're victim blaming or you're attacking the victim, right? So brother, I'm going to be as transparent and honest with you as possible and just really show you the violence of my heart back then. If I had to try really hard to get you to send me a picture of your boobs, I was not talking to you anymore. Mm. So this idea that, I'm sorry, I don't even know if boobs is to send me a naked picture,
right?
You weren't worth my effort. Okay. Mm-hmm. So there's one girl who I saw naked for the first time on her Tumblr, that she posted naked pictures of herself on Tumblr publicly. We started talking, and I found out she was 16, and I didn't really care because I was a scumbag. And then we talked, and we had awful conversations, and she actually came to Warped Tour and tried to meet up with me, and I got scared. I was like, I don't want to have sex with a 16-year-old. I'm not doing this. And I backed out, right? She says that I groomed her. Right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, I saw you naked before I met you. What do you like? Right. I groomed you to have sexual conversations with me. You were posting naked pictures of yourself on Tumblr before we ever met. Mm-hmm. And so this is where the balance of justice matters. I shouldn't have been texting underage girls at all. End of story. Right? But then when you add these lies on top of it, and I got to be vague on this one, but it's really important to this whole story. There's one specific screenshot said about me. For the sake of honoring God, I'm not going to be specific about it. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to give you a stupid hypothetical that's not real, okay? Imagine a girl texts me and says, I think it's really hot to get punched. The idea of getting punched in the face by a guy. That's something that I find really sexually attractive. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I text her one night and by the way, underage girl, still wrong no matter what. And I text her one night, I want to punch you in the face, right?
That gets
Imagine
taken
that
out of
girl.
context.
Imagine that girl screenshotting that text, posting it online with no context. So I'm already a bad person for texting this girl. I'm already this bad person for texting these girls inappropriate things. I'm already a scumbag. I'm already the scum of the earth. But then to post things like that with no context whatsoever, you add this layer of vileness to my acts that weren't there, right? So there's this famous picture of me where I'm shirtless, infamous, I guess, where I'm shirtless, posing, and I never thought I was a good-looking guy. I sent that picture to that girl because we joked about how she thinks armpit hair is hot. It was a joke, right? Like, she doesn't actually think armpit hair is hot. So I sent her this picture. That's the picture that she posts. That, like, I sent her pictures like this. And I don't know if you've seen me. Thank God you haven't seen me shirtless, Clifford. But, like, I don't send shirtless photos to girls, especially back then, for them to find me attractive. And so what these women weren't willing to do, and by the way, I'm not trying to victim blame, is they weren't willing to go to the police, not because they were scared. You're not scared to go to the police, but then you post all of your business on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and whatever else. But when you go to the court, you have to enter your phone into evidence. A judge, prosecutor, defense attorney, possibly jury, is going to read all of your text messages. Not only what I said to you, but what you said to me. And I would love for all those women to release the transcripts of all of our texts. I don't think that'll ever happen. I'm telling you right now, Clifford, it will not make me look worse. That you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I already look bad enough. There's a girl who, in 2013, before I went on Warped Tour, we hooked up because I stayed at her house during a festival in Philadelphia. We just hooked up. That was it. We remained friends all of 2014 Warped Tour. She was there for a nonprofit company. We hung out. I tried to cheat on my girlfriend with her, and she said, no, don't do that. Well, you're not cheating. But she stayed in the hotel room with me, and we hung out anyways and just didn't do anything. And we remained friends. And I have text messages and Facebook posts from this girl that are like a year after 2013. Hey, if you ever need a place to shower and you're in Philly, come to my house. Hey, here's my new number. Are you going to be in town again? I miss you, right? I have all these screenshots. After all this stuff comes out about me, Clifford, she releases this big statement about how I raped her in 2013. And by the way, nobody's on my side on anything. So nobody's like, hey, Jake, is this true?
Yeah.
I left out a very important point. When everyone was accusing me of texting 16, 17-year girls, I was like, this isn't true. This is all lies. And then when that girl posted all the proof that I was, everyone was like, oh, you're a liar. Like, you just lie. And so what that did, that opened the floodgates to anything anybody wanted to say about me. There was no critical thinking. There was no searching out facts. It was just like, yeah, dude, everything said about this guy is true. You'll see someone tweet, whatever happened to that Front Porch Step guy? And someone will be like, I heard he had sex with a bunch of 13-year-olds and did a bunch of cocaine. And the response to that tweet will be like, man, that
without
sucks.
doing any research or anything.
Me sleeping with a 13-year-old was never a real accusation. Like, that never existed. It only exists because tweets like that. And I've been straight edge since I was 15 years old. It doesn't help, Clifford, that according to Wikipedia during all of this, I was 27 years old. I was 23 at the height of it when the scandal really happened. I was 21 to 23 when I was Front Porch Step and semi-famous. But Wikipedia said I was 27. And so you see people that are like, yeah, this 30-year-old dude's texting 16-year-olds. I'm 34 now. I don't... Yeah. I'm married. Like, that's not even a thought on my mind. Like, dating or talking to a 16 or 17 girl. We have nothing in common. Like, you're, especially today's age, you have, like, no one's teaching you how to critically think. No one's thinking logic. You would bore me to death with conversation. Like, you have nothing to say. By the way, sorry, guys. But we also go to this thing of justice, and you have people now that are like, the same people that are like, you're a pedophile for talking to a 16-year-old girl. By the way, 16-year-olds should have the right to vote for president. A 13-year-old should be able to have the choice to cut off their genitals and change their gender. And what's crazy is, like, me as a 34-year-old, if I started dating a 23-year-old today, people would call it creepy. But I was 23 when this was happening, and if you look at science, and by the way, I'm not using this, but I could easily be like, they say your brain isn't fully developed until you're 25, so I was technically also a child when this was happening.
Yeah.
That's stupid, right?
Right.
And so there's no standard of morality in any of this. It's how everybody feels about it. And so, and people like Kevin Lyman from Warped Tour, God love him, man. He got so much flack, not because he was like, he's a good guy, or all of this is lies. He didn't say any of that. He was like, I don't think this is fair that he's getting tried by the court of public opinion, and there's no court case, there's nothing. And he put me on the 2015 Nashville date of Warped Tour, and that made everyone mad. That's when my life was really ruined, because Haley Williams from Paramore.
I was gonna say, like, I remember there would be like being big artists, and I was like, I think Haley Williams said something too.
Yeah, Haley. Oh yeah, dude. So listen to this, bro. When I was in high school, I used to fall asleep listening to Paramore's Unplugged on MTV. I had it recorded on my DVR. I love that woman's voice to death. I went through a phase where I wouldn't listen to anybody that talked crap about me, and now Paramore's great, dude. She can hate me all she wants. Well, she's amazing.
That shows that you can grow up, as opposed to other people.
Can I tell you something that nobody else knows? Do you want an exclusive on your podcast?
Oh yes, please.
I thought I was doing this really cool thing that everybody would notice, but in my song Stones, in that 2017 record I wrote after everything happened, after I got saved when I was a very baby Christian. Do not compare that to my theological beliefs now. But I said, I can feel the pressure coming over me like setting sails. Tried to come to my senses, but sometimes they tend to fail. And I try to come out swinging. But I couldn't hold back tears. No wonder that a can of soup can't get me through this year. That was a reference to the fact that Haley Williams, Buddy from Senses Fail, and Soupy from the Wonder Years were three of my favorite songwriters, artists, and singers of all time. And they all trashed me without actually knowing facts of anything. Soupy still trashes me for some reason. I don't know. I would talk to the guy, but he'll never talk to me. He seems to be... I don't know. God love him. I have nothing bad to say about him, but I think he still says things about me, which is insane. But Wonder Years, one of the greatest bands of all time. So because it really hurt my feelings that all these people that like I loved. So you had three camps of people. You had people that were. I knew a guy, so I hung out with some decently rough people, and I had a guy call me when all this blew up, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I heard some stuff about you, and I want you to tell me the truth. And once you tell me, I'm going to drive to Newark, which is where I live. I'm going to drive to Newark. You and I are going to go to your backyard, and we're going to fight. And then when we're done, we're still boys, but we're going to have it out." I said, "Okay, dude." We'll call him John, right? Okay. All right, John. I was texting 16, 17-year-old girls, man. Yeah, I was. He's like, "Wait, that's it?" I was like, "Yeah, man." I'm almost in tears. He's like, "Bro, you didn't do nothing wrong. We were all texting 16, 17 girls when we were your age, blah, blah." I'm like, "Bro, that's not it. This is not me. This is, no, sir. This is not it." And then you have people on the far side that just believe everything they hear, and then you're the worst person on planet Earth, and I hope you die. And then you have the people that almost are worse and don't say anything at all, even though they kind of know the truth of the situation. And I mentioned that girl that lied about me raping her. I actually reached out to a friend of mine who was a reporter, and I said, "Hey, I have all these screenshots proving she's lying. Would you be willing to help me post this in a real way? I don't want a Tumblr post. I don't want a Twitter post. How can I post this in an official, real way that's validated?" And he said, "Hey, man, that's my friend's girlfriend, and I can't have any part of this. I'm really sorry all this happened to you. I'll send you the screenshot of it behind closed doors.
Sure.
So I can't even catch a break with this, dude. Like nobody, like like everything I'm saying to you, I was like, if I could just get on, a Rogan or I don't know, I can't even think of a big podcast name, and just say all this, like, hey, so we fast forward to, by the way, the whole podcast is me talking. I know this is what you wanted.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'm
so sorry.
No, this is what I wanted. So
yeah. So you're getting the exclusive, brother. So we get I'm not getting paid, by the way.
No.
That needs to be clear.
Yeah, I'm not that big.
So I'm in a treatment center, and come February of 2015, this is the scandals broke. It's at the height of it.
Yeah.
Everyone hates me. This is before I play Warped Tour that year, and this is actually the most important part of the story. It wasn't a Christian camp or a Christian treatment center, but it was they had Christian staff, right? You could have a Christian counselor if you wanted. They offered that. You could go to a Bible study if you wanted to, but it was a secular. They actually had a lot more Native American influence than they did. Like, they had sweat lodges, and it was all about like finding your inner peace. But they happened to have Christian options if you wanted them. And so I'm going to that place, and I'm seeing a psychiatrist, lots of them. They tell me that someone clearly molested me when I was younger, but I repressed the memory, and that's why I can't remember it. And they put headphones in my ears and tried to get me to listen to music and try to close my eyes and feel and get myself back to when I was a young kid and feel where someone touched me. And back then I was like, oh my gosh, this is so terrible that this happened to me. I don't think any of it's true. Like, I would really love an excuse, Clifford, to be like, that's why I was so bad, man. Is I was
Sure, yeah.
None of this is funny, by the way. But they were like, we got to talk about this later. It's important. So they pump me full of lithium. They tell me I'm bipolar. They said I got molested. They diagnosed me as clinically diagnosed me as a sex addict. And they say that me and this girl, let's call her Katie, the girl that was living with me, and she moved away. I'm writing her letters, talking to her on the phone sometimes. They're like, you guys are bad for each other. Like, you're toxic. You shouldn't be together. Like, we were already broken up, but they're like, you should not be with her. It's not good for you. It's not good for her. And by the way, I really wanted to be with her because I was lonely. Everyone hated me. She was nice to me. And I couldn't see the forest for the trees, right? I wanted to be with the girl that was still semi-nice to me. And so I would tell her we're going to be together. Well, they told me we shouldn't be together. All this time, I have emails and emails, Clifford, of this girl. I can show them to whoever wants to see them. I won't post them publicly. Where she's going through Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and she's finding all the inconsistencies and lies in all these girls' stories. And she's sending them to me, my manager, and she's helping us set up a case if anyone takes me to court, right? Mm-hmm. I get out of the treatment center. We need to go back to the treatment center. But I get out of the treatment center. I immediately start dating a prostitute in Nashville. By the way, that's where it was. So immediately start dating a prostitute. She finds out about it, that I was dating a prostitute. Now, the running story of hers is that I manipulated her the entire time we were together to staying with her. Every time, while she was living with me and my mom, every time we had intercourse, it was rape. It was always forced. By the way, there's pictures of her with my family. Like, we went on camping trips. I was cheating on her. But, like, I have letters upstairs in my house of her telling me while I was in treatment, after the scandal happened, how amazing I am, how we're going to get through this, how these things aren't going to affect my life, and how we're going to be together, and she loves me. And as soon as she found out I cheated on her again, her entire story changed to like, but I told her that the psychiatrist didn't want us to be together, yada, yada, yada. So my point of all that is it's very hard to become a Christian through all this, and I'll explain how that happened. When I feel like my gospel witness is tainted by the fact that the truth of the situation is not out there. And by the way, this isn't the truth of the situation being out there, because this is Jake McElfresh telling his side of the story, and I could be a liar. Mm-hmm. And that really is one of the biggest struggles in my faith, if I have the biggest one, is I wish God would just reveal to everyone what actually happened, and that there would be no questions. So everyone could think I was the scumbag that I actually was, but there would be no these lies, because there's no reason for a child to be unsafe around me, right?
Right.
I was 23. I was talking to 16, 17 girls. I was a scumbag. But there's people that are be like, I hope he never has children.
Yeah.
And like, will equate me. I'm going to give you a stupid example of all this. But I remember being in a merch table at Warped Tour. And this has always stuck with me through all this. A girl walked by wearing nothing but short shorts and a bra. And she was a well-endowed woman. And I remember the guy next to me said, he was with a different band, didn't know his. He says, he didn't say gosh, he said G-O-D, but he said, gosh, I hope she's 18. And stared her walking by right away. He didn't know that she could have been 14.
Right.
She could have been 15, could have been 16. But he found her attractive nonetheless. We all did. But his statement was like, God, I hope this is socially acceptable for me to be lusting after her right now. Right?
Yeah.
And so this idea that me being 23 and being weird and texting girls that are too young for me, socially, and let's be honest, dude, I don't know that I was much more mature than 16-year-old girls at this point in my life. But either way, equating that to like, oh, you should be careful, he's going to molest his children, he's a rapist. It's like, none of that's true. And when I come to people and I tell them, God saved me, and they're like, oh, like, you haven't repented of what you did. You haven't apologized to all those girls. I can't, if I reach out to these girls, first of all, I don't know they're not going to use it against me if I DM them, hey, how are you? I don't know. But if I reach out to them and say, hey, I'm sorry, it validates everything they've said about me.
Right. Yeah.
I need to tell them, hey, I'm sorry for everything that I actually did, and I forgive you for lying about me. But the way I treated you was not okay. You didn't, like, I shouldn't have been talking to you. That wasn't okay. Like, and I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart. Mm-hmm. But I want you to know that I forgive you for the things that you've lied about and the damage you've done to my character and with the things that you've said. And if you never admit to it, like, I still forgive you. But I can't reach out to some girl that I talked to when she was 16 and tell her these things.
Right.
Especially as a married man, it's weird.
Yeah.
So these people are like, you haven't apologized for what you did. You don't even know what I did. I did apologize for what I did. You just don't believe that's all I did. So I'm not welcome in the Christian music world because I'm this sex scandal asterisk dude, right? And I don't want in the secular world. My friend's going to get mad for me even saying this if he listens to this, just because we had a big falling out about it, even though we're back close again. But a friend of mine that still tries to help me get work, there was a billionaire, a tech billionaire that just writes music for fun. And he needed someone to edit his lyrics because he basically pays all this money for people to produce his songs. And he was going to pay me $500 a song in 10-song blocks to simply edit his lyrics. Okay? This guy's got so much money that my friend, his MacBook Pro broke, and the next day he got a brand new, top of the line, most expensive MacBook Pro. This guy's like, "Oh, your MacBook broke? I'll buy it for you." So much money. He's going to pay me $500 a song. I started editing the first song, and they sent me notes back, and it was really vague because I was like, "Oh, this woman." And he edited my notes and removed woman from everything, right? So I found out this dude is a homosexual. And I told my friend, I was like, hey man, I'm not really comfortable writing love songs about men from a man's perspective. It's just not, it's not a part of my convictions. I can't do it. that was $5,000 a month that I was going to make editing this dude's lyrics, and who know what opportunities were going to come.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone thinks I became a Christian to fix my career, you don't. No,
Yeah.
because I believe that homosexuality is a sin, that transgenderism is an affront against God's creative order, and I think it's a mental delusion and a sin, and these people need compassion and love, by the way, and not to get beat up or stoned or trashed. This is what I always try to tell people. I met with a guy, and he said, well, how do you feel about gay people? And I said, every straight man that goes out and fornicates with women that aren't his wife are under the same condemnation that any homosexual man is in my eyes. It's you're breaking God's created order of how sex is supposed to be, where it's supposed to be, and I mean where is in not physical location, but inside the marriage bed, wherever that may be, between a man and a woman. And so if you think like me saying this interview with you right now is going to like help me get my secular viewers back, like, dude, come on, bro.
No.
So, and so that's why it's important for all these things to be said, and the details, and even the disgusting details that are uncomfortable to talk about, because my elders at my church know everything I just said to you.
Right.
They know everything, and because I'm honest about my sin, and I need to be honest about my sin. And dude, I'm gonna start crying, and I got accused by a lot of people of faking my tears on the last podcast I was on, and anybody that knows me knows I'm emotional, so I'm not gonna cry. I'm just gonna say it without crying. My pastor looked at me 10 years ago now, when I first started talking to him and first started meeting with him. He said, if everything everyone says about you is completely true, it wouldn't change my opinion about you. I would still love you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like, not saying his opinion about me like he would think I'm a great guy, because it wouldn't change my love for you. If you came to me right now and said I am a pedophile, I am a rapist, all these things are true, he's like, wouldn't change anything about my love for you and what I'm telling you about God's word and what he says in his word. And man, that's a love that I had never felt before in my entire life. Not you did nothing wrong, and not you're the worst person in the world, and I believe everything that I believe you, but even if you're not telling me the truth right now, I love you. And even if everything said about you is true, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's the love of Christ that surpasses all understanding, that is beyond this world's comprehension. Because a lot of people hearing this will be like, well, your pastor is this terrible person. If they said he found out you're a pedophile and a rapist, he would still love you. And that's because we don't know what love is.
Yeah.
You know what I do to people who, you know what? If I have a friend right now that tells me that he's attracted to children and wants to hurt a child, you know what I'm going to do to that guy that I love a lot? I'm going to call the police on him and make sure he gets thrown in prison, because I love him and I love children, and I want to make sure that they're safe, and I don't want to make sure they're not hurt. So I would call the police on him in love, and I would throw him in prison. And my pastor would do the exact same thing, right? Because that's what love is, not enabling people or making them comfortable inside of their sin,
right,
for the sake of your relationship.
Or even just dismissing them entirely because of their sin. You know?
Yeah.
Loving them despite their sin. You know?
Yeah. So I'll say this, then I'll shut up. I want you to talk. So when I was in that treatment center, that Christian counselor, he said, Jake, because we've been meeting for a couple weeks, he said, you worship the affirmation of women and the approval of man, and you are your own God. You've made up a God of your own liking in your mind. And I'm afraid to tell you that, not I'm afraid to tell you, but I'm going to tell you that I'm afraid if you died today, you're going to go to hell. You have no idea who God is. And I wanted to kill the guy. I had an anger problem. And what it did, you know, if some people have a salvation day, like, oh, I remember the moment.
Yeah.
And some people just don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was saved at that moment, or if his preaching of the Word of God, because you need the preaching of the Word of God or there's no salvation. if his preaching the word of God to me was the seed planted that the Holy Spirit used to water, I'm not trying to use, nuanced language here, but I don't know the moment I was actually saved. But what it did, it drove me into a Bible in anger, wanting to like prove him wrong. And I came face to face with the Jesus of the Bible that was completely different from the Jesus that I'd claimed to worship my entire life. And I believed what I was reading. And this is really important for people. There's different levels of sanctification. If someone gets in a massive car wreck and someone else falls down a flight of stairs and is fine, their recovery time is going to look different. So if you meet someone, they say they're saved, and you catch them sleeping with their girlfriend the next day, don't automatically assume that they're not regenerate. Like, by the way, call it out. Hey man, you're sinning, you fornicated, you're sinning against the holy God. Like, go repent. This is wrong. But I'm saying we tend to I went from watching pornography up to 10 times a day while having a girlfriend that I was actively sleeping with to feeling bad that I watched pornography for no reason. There was nobody there, you shouldn't be doing this. Something had changed in me that I started to feel bad for the women on the screen. I started to see them differently. I started to think about it differently. And whether it was that moment that guy told me the gospel, the true gospel, or it was over time and at some point, but I started believing the word of God, no matter what it said. And that's something that I think a favor God did for me, a blessing. Is there's no hard truth in the Bible that I struggle with. When I say that, oh, God, this is going to make everyone mad, but it's oh, God told Saul to kill all the women and men and children and all their crops. It's hey, man, he's God. He does what he wants, man. God can't sin. So if God told him to do it, it was obviously a good idea. Don't know why he did, but automatically God's the author of life and death anyways. So every woman or child that dies because that was the moment that that they were going to die anyway. So no one dies outside of God's hand in the first place. So I've always, since my conversion experience, if someone's I don't know how I feel about that, I'm dude, God's God, bro. You gotta, and I'm not saying I'm 100% faith, that I don't doubt, right?
Right.
But I'm saying there's no hard saying the scriptures where I'm that's what he said, dude. Just get over it. It's the Bible. And so now I'm at a place, man, where I'm married. I got a little boy that's just sweet as pie. I have the greatest wife in the world. And I work a regular job, and I've lost jobs because people Googled me and saw accusations. I've lost opportunities because of it. I won't name him. You probably in your research would know who it is. I'll tell you after the podcast or outside of the podcast. But
Sure.
My friend's brother is one of the biggest Christian producers in Nashville. And I went and had a meeting with him a couple of years ago. That was probably 8 years ago now. Probably 2016, 17. And basically told him everything I just told you. And my scandal was too messy to be worth him putting his name next to me, and didn't want to write with me.
Wow.
And so, without saying this, I know you know what I mean, but I'm too Christian for secular people, and I'm not redeemed enough for the Christian music industry. By the way, I'm not upset that I'm not a part of the CCM, by the way.
Right, yeah, don't be too upset.
But even there's, I won't name them in this podcast I love but there's some godly men inside the Reformed world even that I've tried to reach out to write with, that I've met face to face in conferences, and once I share my story with them, they stop talking to me.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I say my biggest struggle in my faith is when, and I don't mean my elders or the people that I do life with or my wife or my family. I'm talking about the world out there. It's hard to believe that God loves you when everybody in the world is telling you he doesn't. that's hard, man. It's difficult, but you know, one of the greatest things God has done for me is through the change of my heart. I'm no longer, I still get mad, but I know that if I was a man that was righteous and above reproach, there would have never been an accusation put against me because they would have no grounds. So if I was never texting, if I was never sleeping with, if I didn't invite a woman who wasn't my wife to live with me, there would be no accusation that I raped her every day because she would have never been in my house. And that's one thing about, you should see a difference, and I'm not calling either people someone you should follow and be like. I don't know Mike Pence personally, but I definitely don't want anybody to be like Donald Trump. Mike Pence got made fun of because he never rode alone in a car with a woman who wasn't his wife.
Right. Basically the
never heard it,
Billy Graham rule.
Never heard an accusation against Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Haven't heard one.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, hear a lot about him.
Sure.
So I have these conversations now. There's something so freeing about knowing that you're a sinner, just by nature. Not saying that it's okay to go sin. But I'll have these conversations with atheists. I'll be like, yeah, dude, I used to be a habitual cheater. I don't hang out with women. I don't have women friends. And I have friends at church that are sisters in Christ that are my friends' wives, or they might be someone that that serves on a ministry with me. And I'll talk to them. I'll say hi to them, and I can love them. I ain't talking to them much longer than 5 minutes. We're not having a conversation. Because I was a cheater, and I know myself. By the way, I'm not worried about myself around children,
right?
Because that wasn't the problem of mine,
right?
But I also, because of living a life above reproach, I don't serve in the children's ministry. I don't do anything in our church that involves children, so there's never any ability to accuse me, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just wisdom,
right?
But I'll tell someone, I'm like, dude, if you put me alone in a hotel room for multiple days with a gorgeous woman and convince me that no one ever find out, I might cheat on my wife, which is why I will never be alone in a hotel room with a gorgeous woman. And they're like, I hope your wife never finds out. I was like, my wife knows that I've said that. Like, she's not stupid. I'm not stupid to think that my wife doesn't find other men attractive. God made people beautiful, but we made a commitment to each other. I don't cheat on my wife because I chose her, not because I don't desire ever to look at other women. That's absurdity. But I know that it's wrong to look at other women. I don't. And I would never put myself in a position. And that's where, like, the world, the secular world, just thinks I'm an idiot, dude. Like, they think I'm just the weirdest, most insane person to ever walk the earth. Like, so you're saying that if you had the opportunity placed in front of you, you might cheat on your wife. So you're a cheater. It's like, yeah, dude, I am historically a cheater,
and
which is why, and I don't want to cheat on my wife, so therefore I don't put myself in positions to cheat. That's how I actively don't cheat on my wife.
Yeah.
And I'm going off on a tangent now, but I will say, because I never did this with the last podcast I was on, I ranted, I never closed the threads. But looking back, when it comes to the charismatic gifts, I saw Mayday Parade live. I forget where. Might have been Columbus, but Derek played "Miserable at Best" on piano solo, where all the band like took a break, and the entire crowd was singing. And I remember feeling this almost religious, spiritual experience. And this is back in like 2014. And looking back at that, I felt the same listening to Derek from Mayday Parade singing "Miserable at Best" as I did the church worship or the camp worship band singing. Oh gosh, the Hillsong. You're not gonna know exactly what I'm talking about until I say it.
Let's see, maybe.
Dude, no.
How old are we talking?
Old. So it's not
Lord?
old. No, not that old.
Okay.
Everlasting.
Oh yeah, from the Inside Out.
From the Inside Out.
Yeah.
I felt the same on both songs. I look back and I felt the same. Now, because I I help lead worship for my church. By the way, I sing contemporary music if it's doctrinally rich and biblically sound.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So there's nothing wrong with contemporary music.
Right.
But I could sing a hymn, and I could sing, "How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure," and I'll sing it, and there's no droning piano. We don't have a nice sound system. We're an 8-year-old church. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have our own building. There's no lights. There's stained glass windows. And I'll sing, "Ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the," and I'll start crying. Not because the music put me in a position to emotionally manipulate me to a point, but because I'm singing a truth from the Bible. And I know that's not necessarily a truth from the Bible, but it's a connecting my sin to what my Christ went through.
Yeah, a doctrinal
ashamed
truth.
I hear. Yeah, ashamed I hear my mocking voice call my sin put him on that cross. That's the doctrinal truth.
Yeah.
But ashamed I hear my mocking voice call among the scoffers. And I sit there and I just cry. Not every time, by the way, but I just cry. And it's not because I was put in an emotional position to be prepared to cry. I don't need to go get a piano and play some droning music and come out and say, "Hey, Clifford, you just won $10 million." For you to be like, oh, you would just be excited if I told you that truth, right? Clifford, you won $10 million. You'd be like, "I'm stoked." And so if I can just say, "Hey, bro, let me think. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning, my song rise to thee." You know what I mean? Like this is, my God is a thrice holy God. He's amazing. He's mighty. And it's like, oh yeah, dude, I'm stoked about that. I don't need to pray with a piano behind it to get you excited about the eternal God that came to save filthy sinners and took on their sin and gave his righteousness to us. I don't need to be prepped for that excitement. That's amazing. I'm just stoked about that.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to connect that because I realized I talked about that and never finished it on the last podcast I did. But I'm going to shut up, and everyone's going to think that I'm be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger is the verse that I forget exists the most in my life.
Well, hey, you're giving me the chance to practice that. So
Well, there you go.
Which I'm completely fine with because, I do believe that that's kind of something God has gifted me with, is the ability to listen. I enjoy it anyways, but man, yeah, that is, I already knew, but it's still just like incredible. Just, crazy story, crazy thing that, literally your story could be a movie for sure.
That no one will make.
Hey, I don't know. Ask around. Maybe get some independent filmmaker.
Well, secular people will ruin it, and Christian people won't touch it.
Well, see, and that's the thing. One of the realizations that just kind of just dawned on me is just listening to you is like I thought the story of you coming to Christ was like pretty incredible in the first place, but then when I really thought about it, just the things that you were dealing with, you kind of had two layers on top of each other, where one, and I'm just kind of insinuating at this point, assuming, you're dealing with the guilt of, everything that you've done, your sin, probably feeling like really bad about yourself, like probably worse than you had before, that you already said. But on top of that, you have all these lies on top of the actual like bad things that you did. And so you're dealing with the anger towards those people. So you're probably feeling like, well, nobody likes me, not even me, but also just dealing with the anger with that. And like, I can imagine that, like, that just almost kind of makes, God entering into your life even more amazing. 'Cause like, there's definitely, like, dealing with all those emotions hardly brings any room for you to be open to to Christ. I would feel like just dealing with all those emotions, but yet God did show up anyways, and still was able to just radically change your life. And that was just kind of a realization that I just came to. It was just like, oh yeah, you're dealing with kind of things on both sides, you know?
Yeah.
Does that seem pretty accurate?
No, for sure, man. And my hope is that on a good day, this is very important, especially the young believer. When you read theological treatises and books, you're reading the best moments of that person's spiritual life written down. Mm-hmm. Like Thomas Watson isn't writing, or John Piper isn't writing a book and he's like, hold on, I have to stop writing. I just had a lustful thought. Give me just a moment. Okay, now we continue. You're only reading the best of what they're saying. So I could come on this podcast and it's like, oh, I just love the Lord. And it's like, man, sometimes I don't trust his plan. And sometimes I'm mad. Right. And sometimes I want to do the thing, and I'm not going to actually put my middle fingers up, but I just want to do the thing where you put your middle fingers up and you're like, and I want to release all the documents I have, and I want to put everybody on blast, and I get really mad. And then I get brought back to, no one has ever offended me, hurt me, or sinned against me more than I have sinned against God, who has so graciously forgiven me. Mm-hmm. And it brings me down back to earth. But to your question, there are days where I'm really mad and I'm furious about the situation, and I want the $250,000 publishing deal I was about to sign a week after the scandal happened. I want the $30,000 merchandise exclusive contract I was going to sign, and I want the headlining $5,000 a night plus back-end shows I was about to play, as I can't afford a house right now. And I get really mad that, God, why didn't you just save me before I became famous and let me become famous? I totally would have served you then, right? Mm-hmm. We do that to God because we're stupid. But where I'm most grateful now, at my best, by the way, not all the time, is there are so few people that I don't struggle to look down on. The crackhead, I mean, I deal with more homeless people than almost anybody I know, whether it comes to helping out with security at my church or working at a church or just being the guy that walks up to anyone in a dark parking lot and willing to have a conversation with them. And the people think I'm the scum of the earth. Like, people think so. And so if I can go up to someone and they can say, like, hey, I'm an actual murderer. Like, I'm an actual rapist. I'm this. I went to prison for 20 years for doing all these terrible things. God could never love me. I can have not the sympathy, but there's no one in my mind, regardless of physical or literal action, that's worse than me, right? So I meet these people, and I have this ability to be like, brother, if God saved me, you're good. Like, I promise you, like, you can get saved. And so where I struggle with all these people that look in, it's not, by the way, I have this conversation with my pastor. We meet once a week. Mm-hmm. We have for years. If you have a chance to have a regular relationship with your pastor or one of your elders and you're not meeting regularly, you're missing out on such rich friendship and counsel. Mm-hmm. But I told him, I said, Jeremy, it's not the wicked prospering that I'm upset about. It's the Christians that mistreat me that I'm upset about. And I don't know how to deal with that, right? Like, I don't know how to deal with the Christians. But that's cool, man. Like, so-and-so, you don't want to write songs with me because you want to go write a song about the redeeming love of Christ, but tell me that I'm too gross to write with. That's fine, man. There's some gross people that I got to go hang out with. I got time for them since you don't want to hang out with me. I'm going to go hang out with the least of these because I'm the least of these, and I'm going to go be friends with them, and you can keep doing your thing because I'm going to go love on these people. Like, I'm going to go hang out with the lepers because clearly I'm diseased. So I'm I'm gonna go show them some love, and you guys can have your cool CCM party over here, and I'll just I'll sit this one out.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
You wouldn't be missing
every
much
day.
anyways.
Oh no, dude! I don't give me a microphone with the Dove Awards, dude. It's there's a reason why I would definitely not make that about me. I would I might call fire down from heaven.
I was gonna say,
and not in the
not in the charismatic sense.
Yeah, well, I was trying not to be rude. I don't want to offend people, but not in the charismatic sense, but the
I'm
literal sense.
I am perfectly capable of making fun of my own side. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but no, yeah, you'd probably cause people to cry, you know. But yeah, that's definitely a conversation. That's a whole video in of itself. But
listen, dude, we can have more now that I got this set up.
Dude, yeah, absolutely. I'd say we have a little bit more time left. I wanted to just kind of ask, like, because back in 2017. You came out with I Never Loved Before I Found You, which is I think is an incredible album. I kind of love how in terms of like the lyrics, how messy it is, because I'm sure because you can tell that you were dealing with a lot. So it's like a mixture of like both like your surrender to Christ, but also just like all those negative feelings that you were feeling. And so that's why I love how honest it is, and how like Worship from a Wretch just kind of ties it all together. And then like ever since then you've released like the odd single which have been great. So like where in terms of like music, where are you at now? Like what's the future for Front Porch Step?
Well, I didn't have a record label when that album came out, but I did have investors, and I think there was more hope for my marketability in 2017 there is now, because those investors really aren't there, and they kind of backed out. Like, God love them, but the amount of people, Clifford, that support me privately, but will not tell people publicly, is if I was more fragile than I am, I might fall apart. You have to have thick skin being me, because there's people that will. I mean, I'm trying to be vague here, man, but like, there's people that will like. They would tell me that I'm the best lyricist that they've ever worked with, right?
Yeah.
And they're not inviting me to writing rooms with their friends, because they don't want their friends to know that they're friends with me, which I hope isn't true, but it's hard not to think that sometimes.
Sure.
It is what it is. So I don't have the money to release more than I release now, and some people say, why don't you release Christian music anymore? One, I felt forced I was young in my faith, and I felt forced to only write songs about God when I wrote that record, because I felt that's what Christians had to do. But it's actually a really big hypocrisy for anyone who says that, because if you're a barista and you don't work at a Christian-owned and Christian-ran coffee shop, like, you can't tell. I can't write anything inappropriate, by the way. I can't write anything that dishonors God. But with these songs I've been releasing recently, like Counting Flaws is my most recent release as of this video. It's a breakup song. I'm in a very happy marriage. By the way, I know that saying you're in a happy marriage means you're not, but I'm saying this to you like I'm in a very happy marriage.
Yeah.
I've started to look at songwriting as creative writing, and I don't think God thinks C.S. Lewis is committing all the actions of every character in the Chronicles of Narnia. But it's a story, right?
Right.
So I've started to look at my songwriting as like, oh, yeah, I can write a breakup song. And that's kind of the goal, is to write full-time for other people. I just want to be a lyricist and a top liner. I really don't. I mean this. If I could choose, somebody could say, you could have and I mean for the rest of your life. You can have $500,000 today, and you'll write for people only, and you'll never tour again, or we'll give you $800 million today, and you have to tour for the rest of your life, and you'll be really famous. I would take the $500,000 in a second. Like, I don't want to be famous. I just want to write music. And if people don't think I'm good enough, then it won't happen. Or if God doesn't want me to, it won't happen. So I've got another single that's cooking right now, and working on that. I'm working with some really talented, a guy named Elijah Gallinger. I don't know if you know him, but he has his own band. But basically, I'm half joking, but he's filled in for every Christian metal band that exists, it seems like. Like he's a studio musician / touring musician. And so he's a believer, and he's amazing, and he's the most... I say this about a few people, and I know a lot of people, and I've met some of the best musicians in the world. He's one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. And the guy that's been mixing all my stuff is a guy named Jared Weisner, who is the drummer of Spoken. And he is an incredible mixer that charges far too little for his mixes. And he's amazing, man. Like if you listen to Counting Flaws, or I can't remember the other songs, Shallow Oceans, which is like a fun pop song I wrote by my wife. That's all Elijah and Jared's mastery when it comes to production and mix. I co-wrote, my buddy Cameron Byfield out of Nashville wrote the guitar for Counting Flaws, but I literally just like writing lyrics. I don't even like writing music. That's kind of how Front Porch Step got started. Is I was a big hip hop head, by the way. I don't know if you knew this, but I started out rapping.
Okay. Oh,
yes.
Wow.
That is not a joke. Anybody that knows me from back then would tell you, I have a rap memorized from 2011 that I wrote, that my voice is shot, but I still have memorized. It was: living life to the fullest is kind of hard when I feel empty. I'm tempting death into my mind and finding pain. The devil sent me up into the air without a care, without a fight. And I'll rise into the sky without a care, only a mic. And I'll scream about the things that twisted me throughout my childhood. I smile good and still stand taller than a mile would. But you don't know a thing about me, and you never will. So be still and just chill as I kill this beat with skill. I'm not trying to make a meal, I just want to make it out. I try to walk alone, but demons always seem to walk about. Jesus washed the feet of men he knew someday would betray him. Put his trust into the world, so it's no wonder it slayed him. And daddy didn't die, he just left and I sighed. I tried to get him back, he just refused and I cried. Pride tangled him, the devil came around, began to strangle him. God tried to sing to him, the earth already mangled him. It was never up to me, the papers were too much for me. He wasn't granted custody, therefore he wasn't stuck with me. He got lucky, not my mom, as she got stuck with all the drama. Hears me screaming with no pauses, got her sweating like a sauna. Don't want to live, but yet I do, I don't know why. But when I try to die, I just feel something deep inside. Play with the hands you're given. Cards are useless, so I'm slipping. Wishing God would give me answers to this haunted life I'm living. By the way, Clifford, lived in a residential house in a nice neighborhood. Yeah. And, the devil is coming to get me, bro.
It's just that
I got this Glock.
It's that same mentality.
Got this Glock 9 on my hip. Yeah, dude, I'm the whitest person ever that loved hip hop. And you'll notice in Front Porch Step my cadence, like unaware, like I see you standing there and your eyes are unaware, staring at me all night, wishing the brain behind them cared. Like there's almost like, I'm not trying to be stupid, but I see you standing there and your eyes are unaware. I've been staring at them all night, wishing the brain behind them cared. Like there's this like hip hop cadence to even my lyric writing.
Yeah.
By the way, dude, Christian hip hop is rough, man.
Yeah, I'm not too much into hip hop myself, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of people try to tell me, they're like, "Oh, dude, you got to check out this one. They're great." And I'm like, "Yeah, still not really doing a whole lot for me,
Well, if you're not a rap guy,
yeah, I'm very picky about like the hip hop and rap that I listen to.
So are you? Or do you like rap at all?
Yeah. I'm just very picky, and I tend not to like a lot of the artists that people tell me I'm supposed to like.
Yeah, well, so what's hard for me is I'm a big, like, 90s... I can't listen to virtually any of the artists that I loved for most of my life. So, like, Guru from Gang Starr is one of my favorite rappers of all time. You have Inspectah Deck from Wu-Tang Clan is one of my favorites. And you can, by the way, you have to skip the first 20 seconds where the N-word is repeated 85 times. And you can listen to the first verse of Triumph by Wu-Tang Clan, which is the greatest rap verse of all time. And then you immediately, after his verse is over, which doesn't cuss at all, have to shut the song off and not listen anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to somehow... dude, I don't have the whole thing memorized, but for most of my, it's so complicated. It's like, I bomb atomically, Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define how be dropping these mockeries, lyrically performed on robbery, flee with the lottery, possibly they spotted me, battle-scarred shogun, explosion of my pen hits tremendous, ultraviolet shine blind forensics, I inspect you through the future me millennium, killer bee soul, 50 gold, 60 platinum, shackling the masters of thoracic rap tactics. It just keeps going and going and going, and it's so good, and he's saying complicated things, like he's not just rhyming words, and it's just like you got old dirty B word in the beginning just riffing the most disgusting things he can say, and then you got Inspectah Deck with the most amazingly talented verse of all time, and then you just gotta skip the rest of the song. By the way, all of Wu-Tang's talented, but the point is, you're going to get me on a whole rant about hip-hop, but I love Guru. I love Guru for Gang Starr. Love Inspectah Deck. Love Nas. Nasty Nas is... I love Mobb Deep. And that's like... It doesn't have to cuss and talk about having sex with women or... But J. Cole is about as close as I can get today of an artist that sounds like the rap I like, but even he's filthy. So what's funny is it's not a guy, but the rapper that is as close to that vibrato that I like in my hip hop is Jackie Hill Perry, dude.
Oh, okay.
She is bar none the best rapper in CCM, and she might be one of the greatest female rappers of all time. She's better than Nicki. She's better than everybody. She raps circles around everybody.
Yeah.
But she's my saving grace when it comes to the gym. Some Triple E songs. I say this out of the most love in my heart. If Shai Linne had better production, some of his songs the mix, like there's something about it where I love everything about it. It's just I need higher production quality in it.
Sure, yeah.
But I can't get into the whole like, God's got my back. He with me always. He picks me up when I am falling. I can't do it, man. I'm just like, I might be an atheist.
Christian hip hop is making me atheist.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I totally get it. But I mean, I tend to be pretty critical, not just about hip hop, but a lot of Christian music. But yeah, I know there's some good stuff out there, and I should probably pay attention to it more. But I have listened to a little bit of Jackie Hill Perry. I like her style, but I haven't done the deep dive just yet. So, and she seems to be pretty cool, pretty smart person. But
yeah, man. I mean, she's I'd love to have a conversation with her and Preston.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. Get on their podcast.
Yeah, I don't think they would have me. I remember I told you I have no friends.
Yeah.
I don't believe that race exists. I believe that ethnicity exists and culture exists, and we are all different shades of brown with different levels of melanin in our skin. Like, I've never met a white man. I've never met a black man. I call white people, Caucasian people white just because it's the norm to describe someone.
Right.
Like, if a white man robbed me, I wouldn't say the lighter-skinned black man or the lighter-skinned brown man. I would say, the white dude.
Yeah.
But I think ethnic prejudice exists, and I think there's some people that hate people because of the color of skin and they equate it with evil, that they're bad. I think all that exists. I'm not denying any of that. I just don't believe like I don't believe that because your skin color is a certain tone that you have to agree with everyone else that has that certain skin color, or that you have the same life experience. Daryl Harrison has the Just Thinking podcast with Virgil Walker. He says he says that he's had a gun pulled on him, been called the N-word and every other word more by black people. He's a black guy, more by black people than a white person ever has. But some people would say that, he's an Uncle Tom for not telling people that he's experienced racism his entire life.
Right.
So as much as I love Jackie Hill, she would, I think she would be kind to me because I believe she's a sister in Christ.
Sure.
But I don't think people that are really kind of deep in that social justice movement. By the way, I love justice. I'm all for justice.
Yeah.
I would protect.
And being
I would
social,
protect.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Just not
absolutely.
social justice.
I'm all for justice, and I want people to be treated, based on their, first of all, their inherent worth as a human.
Yeah.
But definitely not mistreated because of the way they look. I'm against that completely. But
Right.
I lean conservative because my Christian values won't vote for, like, people are like, how could you vote for Trump? And it's like, well, first of all, I don't think Joe Biden was competent to be president, but he said that he wants the most LGBTQ plus administration of all time. He wants to further access to abortions. I was like, you know what? I don't want to vote for that guy. And so I voted for the other guy, and I regret voting for either. But I'm a conservative that any conservative that would speak to me would hate most of the things that I stand for and believe. And then I want, once again, man, moral standard across the board. If Kamala Harris does something good and righteous, I want to applaud it.
Right.
Like, awesome.
Sure.
Amazing. I'm so stoked that happened. And if Donald Trump does something good, I'll be like, awesome. And if either of them do something bad, or whether it's Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez or Thomas Massey or anybody from any side, I want to be like, that's bad or that's good.
Right.
And we don't do that. We're just like, oh, you're on that side. It's like, brother, I'm on my own team that nobody wants to be on with me. And I'm not getting invited to any TPUSA event, that's for sure. I cried when Charlie Kirk died, and I would never recommend anyone to go to a TPUS faith event because
probably not
of
now.
all.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's getting weird, man.
It is weird. But
yeah.
I wish I appreciated Charlie Kirk when he was alive, because I don't think that I did, and now it's like, man, I really miss him, even though I didn't really follow him that much, and it's like, man, he's like the only sane one we probably had. Everyone else is crazy.
Yeah, to an extent. So, not talking ill of a dead man at all. Love Charlie. I loved what he said. I didn't follow him on Instagram or anything like that because I didn't like the mix of, like, there's people, really amazing, righteous, godly dudes that will write an article of why you should vote for Trump over the opposition, even though Trump's not a good guy. But I think it was a damage to his witness how supportive of Trump he was as a person. You know what I mean? If you gotta, like, when Trump made those comments, for instance, and J.D. Vance isn't anybody's champion of faith, but when Trump made those comments about Rob Reiner's death, I thought the most unifying thing for this country, for J.D. Vance to first of all, personally, Mr. President, I thought what you said was inappropriate, but then publicly say, I do not support my colleague and my president's words, and I find them to be, no pun intended, I find them to be deplorable. And that's the problem when you don't have a Christian, not saying that Charlie wasn't a Christian, but when you don't have a moral standard that's across the board, is if you can't, by the way, with love, and I'm not talking about false accusations here, but if you can't criticize anything your pastor says, you can't criticize anything your president does. Like, you can't criticize anything Benjamin Netanyahu does.
Yeah.
You might live in a vacuum, dude. You
yeah,
might not
or
have
you've put yourself into a cult or something. I mean, not saying that that it is a cult, but you're kind of like acting like you are in one because you feel like you can't disagree. And that was one of the
man.
That was actually one of the refreshing. And not to get off on this, we'll probably
please
but
talk about whatever you want.
I just wanted to say it was kind of a refreshing moment when Donald Trump made those comments about Rob Reiner, and like pretty much everyone collectively was like, no, dude, that ain't it. I was like, oh, okay, we're not all, just going with the flow. It's like we can call out things that are bad, so that was nice.
This absurdity, man. I'm going to say this. You gave me a platform. This is dangerous, dude.
What have I done?
I have not sat for hours of my life, and you'll get my point. I have not sat for hours of my life and watched George Floyd speak and learn from him, and also critique him, but learn from him for years. Okay, I kind of went through the transition a lot of people do when they became a Christian, where I became like a Daily Wire subscriber, an NRA member. Like I became like this ultra conservative, and then like the Bible slowed me down. The Holy Spirit slowed me down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not that it's wrong to be a Daily Wire subscriber or be an NRA member. That's not what I'm saying. But it's just like, so I watched a lot of Charlie Kirk, right? And I cried when Uncle Phil died from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right?
Yeah.
Because he had a place in my life. These people are like you see Charlie Kirk get shot in the throat, and people were upset. People are like, didn't see this reaction with George Floyd. It's like, that's a terrible thing that happened to George Floyd. I didn't know him. I didn't know Charlie. But this is what people will do. They'll be like, there's that racism. You didn't cry when this complete stranger that you've never met or seen or know anything about him whatsoever died. It's like
right.
100. I think it's 100. It might be 60,000 people or something a day die.
Right, yeah.
Like today.
And on top of that, George Floyd wasn't actually a great dude either. So
well, but that's besides the point. Because I know what you mean. I know what you're getting at. But it's important to note that George Floyd's death was as sad as Charlie's. Because he was made in the image of God. And it might be more sad than Charlie's if he didn't know the Lord. Because this is where I get really crazy and people think I'm the devil. It's actually more sad for a mosque, for me, for a mosque to get bombed than it is a church to get bombed. Because I have more assurance that people in the church are going to spend an eternity with Christ in perfect joy and peace. And I don't have assurance that people in that mosque are. So I don't want anybody to die, by the way, in violent fashion. I want us all to live in perfect harmony. But but this idea that I'm racist because you know who I cried. I'm not trying to be stupid here. I'm not trying to pander. You know who I cried harder at their death than I did Charlie Kirk? Whitney Houston. I worked at Walmart when Whitney Houston died, and I had to leave work because I was inconsolable. Okay? Did not cry when George Floyd died. Didn't know him. I didn't listen to his music for hours and hours. I didn't think he was the greatest singer of all time, and he meant everything to me. But by the way, it's super sad that George Floyd died, and that sucks. It sucks that he had to die the way that he did. It sucks that he was in that position. It sucks that he made decisions that he made. But that was someone's son. That was someone's brother. That was an image bearer, and we should all be very sad that happened. But to equate your level of sadness with public figures getting shot in the throat in the middle of public square, it's pretty wild, man. This is a crazy. This is what you get if you have me on a podcast. By the way, you probably shouldn't do this anymore.
No,
but
it's great.
But so it's why the church, man, and I mean my church, but I mean church in general. You go away from this crazy world, dude, where everyone's just got their own opinion about everything. Like even today, as of today, we're recording this Minnesota shooting. I'm not an expert, man, but I'm like looking at, you know what I'm talking about? This girl that got shot in the face.
When she was driving the van towards the ICE agent. Yeah.
By the way, I have not cried today about the white girl getting shot in the face today in Minnesota. Not because I don't care about her. I just need to make that clear. But the ICE agent, from what I saw, was kind of towards the side of the SUV, but like leaning in front of it. And she pulled forward, but her tires are turned to the right. And by the way, she's wrong for trying to flee the police. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was deserving of death. I think they could have just gotten a patrol car and chased her and arrested her and thrown her in prison or jail for fleeing the police, right? Mm-hmm. But the left will hate me for saying that ICE had a right to arrest her, and the right will hate me for saying that ICE officer had no right to open fire on her. Because I have no friends, Clifford. This is the important point of this interview. Is nobody likes me.
Well, we're also talking about social media where nuance does not exist. So, I mean, you just got to remember social media is not real. Not to say that it's not important and, like, you know, we shouldn't take note of things that are happening on social media. But, you know, real life is outside of your phone, you know, and real relationships are with people that are right in front of you. So your real friends are the ones that are in real life, you know?
Yeah, man. That's like a really important thing. I think you, me, Eric, and whoever else, I mean, I don't know Jonathan. I don't barely know you personally, but I'm saying
right.
I would at least consider Eric a friend. Mm-hmm. But Christian influencers are a weird thing for me right now, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got these people, and I'll name drop some people because I like them and I'm not talking trash about them. Like, so for instance, the Lord's Giant, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great.
Like his stuff. But I'm like, who are your elders? Like, do they who kind of sanctioned you to like be this like biblical teacher online? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and he hasn't said anything where I'm like, I like his stuff. I like the things he says. A lot of the times, there's some things I disagree with, but often I'm like, who put you in this position?
Yeah.
Because the problem is, if people like the Lord's Giant can just have a platform without any vetting of his, and by the way, you don't need what's the word I'm looking for? Not resume, not criteria, credentials. You don't need credentials to be a Christian.
Right.
You do need, and I'm not talking about official state licensing, but you do need vetting and credentials to be a teacher of the Word of God and to be a pastor, right? And so we have a bunch of like social media pastors where I'm like, that's cool that the Lord's Giant is on here because like he's saying a lot of stuff I agree with and I like that, but also there's 9,000 people that are saying really awful stuff like that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. He's a white dude. He always wearing a hat and like a hoodie. And he's like, it's always some rage bait where he's like, did you know God said you didn't ever have to go to church? Like, did you know God never said you need to go to church? And then he'll go this whole rant. And it's like, bro, let's get in a debate about this. Put me on your live. Let's talk about the gathering of the saints. Let's talk about not neglecting to meet together. Let's talk about the church in, I think it's Acts 2. They were like constantly together. Mm-hmm. First of all, like God wants us to be together at some points, but he also wants us, he commands us to have elders. I can't have elders unless I go to a church. There's so many commands I can't follow unless I'm a part of a church. But this guy can get on there and be like, you know, the Bible says that you never need to go to church. And it will get 400,000 views. And all these people are like, all these people, by the way, that don't want elders or accountability or anything are like, this guy's pretty smart.
Yeah,
I like everything he just said, that it validates my sin. I like this a lot. This is good.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring that up because I was actually, which I guess speaking of Christian influencers, is this YouTuber that I've recently discovered, Bob the Baptist. He's been doing a lot of videos on, he kind of focuses a lot on like the kind of whole like Christian nationalist movement and just like, you know, kind of woke right sort of stuff. But he was doing a video basically talking about how there's like this new phenomenon happening and people are kind of calling it gig Eva, where it's just like all the pastors and preachers that everyone's like listening to, they're all these personalities online. And so, like, that's kind of, it's sort of in a sense replacing the church, and how there's like, and it's almost like no longer about denominations anymore. It's just about like an internet following and such, and how it's just kind of weird. And he's like, yeah, I'm just a YouTuber. Like I kind of just want to entertain people, but you have these people that are literally calling their, what they do on the internet as a ministry. And it's like, yeah, that is kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about that. And that's why I would tell everyone, like any of my, like, in my small following, like, go to church, listen to your pastor. Don't listen to me. I'm just kind of trying to entertain people while also, I guess sharing my opinion on stuff, but ultimately I'm not a pastor. Your pastor is your pastor. Go to church. It's just weird. I guess that's just part. It was probably, I guess, inevitable in the age of the internet and social media. But yeah, it is weird. And I've actually been meaning to have like a conversation with my pastor and being like, hey, so I want to be under your guys' authority. Like, not saying that you guys have to micromanage everything, but like, I don't know, if you guys ever see anything in a video that I do that you don't like or whatever. I've thought about having that conversation for sure.
I think you should. I think it would be good. What I recommend to people, I might say something, like, for instance, about my experience with charismatic gifts that I talked about in this podcast, right? If you are in the camp that's the opposite, for instance, and you're like, wow, what this Jake McElfresh guy, something's really making sense. I'm like, I disagree with this. I really encourage you to go talk to your pastor about what you heard me say and ask him to open the scriptures and walk through the Word of God with you and explain it to you. And because that's the thing, man, is I don't care that you disagree with me. Dude, every 99.9% of the preachers that I love and listen to and that I think are some of the godliest men I've ever heard preach, I'm talking about the celebrities, like the people from other states that I listen to on podcasts. They're all reformed millennials, and they're all, or post-millennial, and they're all smarter than me, and they all could debate me under the freaking table about eschatology.
Yeah.
All of them. One of my best friends and one of my favorite people in the world is getting his doctorate at Westminster Theological Seminary. And he's a Presbyterian that believes that you can baptize babies. And I'm telling you, this dude is 4 million times smarter than me. And you know why I don't care that he believes different than me? Is because he can open the Bible and explain his position. Even if I disagree with his interpretation, and I think that he's wrong, I'm telling you, bro, if you put him and I in the same room as you, you're probably going to start baptizing babies because he's so smart.
Yeah.
So, but what I don't like, and what you shouldn't like, and what you should hate, is, hey man, I really wanted to open up the Bible. You saying this to me, I really want to open the Bible and just talk about this theological difference that we have. Can we just, as brothers, walk through this? Because I'm really struggling. Mm-hmm. And they're like, I don't care what you have to say. Like, I know you're wrong. It's like, like I don't care. By the way, we're all going to die one day, go to heaven, and God's going to let us know how wrong we are about our theology. Okay. I'm certain of that. He has a long list to tell me how stupid I am. And he's going to tussle my hair and say, it's okay, champ. You tried your best. That's my well done and good faithful servant, buddy. No one expected you to be here in the first place. You know what I mean? That's what he's going to say. If someone's not right, or I think they're wrong, I more care about that they're convicted in what they believe. Like, that's more important. Now, if someone's like, is convicted that Jesus isn't God, or that, maybe, I don't know what you believe. Do you believe in the Trinity?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank God. But like, if someone rejects the Trinity, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're a oneness, that's a deal breaker for me. I can't fellowship with you. Yeah, that's kind of a big
deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, like I said earlier, if you believe in spiritual language of tongues, I can fellowship with you and lovingly disagree with you. if you tell me you have to speak in tongues to be saved, you are adding to the gospel, you're a heretic, and you need to repent, and you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you you're wrong. But you know why I don't call my friend that's getting his doctorate to talk to him about theology that often? Because he's just so much smarter than me that it's I don't want to be proved wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
He might
I don't
change
wanna
your
be,
mind.
Yeah. Well, so this is something my pastor always said that I love. Do you know who Michael Vlach is?
I don't think so.
VLACH. So he is the premier. I'm telling you, if you want to understand intelligent, I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but intelligent dispensationalism that's based on the Word of God and well thought out and doctrinally rich, Michael Vlach is the man. Okay. He wrote a book called "Has the Church Replaced Israel?" And this is how you know somebody really knows their stuff. Okay. The first 3 or 4 chapters, it's been a while, of the book, he was convincing me to be an amillennial. I was like, oh my gosh, dude. Because he was explaining their position so well that I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot, dude. And then he goes on to explain why he's not an amillennial, and I'm like, oh, I was right in the first place. But so many people, man, don't even know what they believe or how to explain it with the Bible, and they just believe it because it's how they were raised. And that's okay at first, but if you're not convicted with the scriptures and what you believe, you're going to be tossed to and fro by the waves and every wind of doctrine that comes. And yeah,
I mean, I think that's why we've had like so many, deconstructionists, deconverts like in the past decade or so, because they just weren't grounded right. In in whatever way, and whenever they tell their background, it's like, yeah, you weren't taught solidly, So it's very important for sure. Well, hey man,
yeah,
we're gonna.
Can I emphasize real quick that
Yeah.
I love the Lord's Giants content?
Yeah,
I think it's good. I think
you
don't,
made that clear. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't care if he ever even speaks to me. The one. And I know you're about to sign off. The one thing that's dangerous about social media that I've noticed, and we can have a whole other conversation about this another time, is everyone has to have an opinion on what just happened, and they need their like everybody needs to know their theological opinion on the situation that just happened. And it's like, hey brother, you can go to you're good. You can go to your church and share your opinion on the Charlie Kirk situation. Like, I posted something about it, but everyone has a tweet for every political thing that comes out and their biblical view of it. I'm just like, bro, not everybody needs to hear everything you have to say, man. And people are like, have you heard this entire podcast? And you're saying that not everyone has to hear everything you have to say, Jake? And yeah, dude, I'm at least self-aware, but
yeah. No.
Well, let's sign off. Get rid of me.
No, it's all good. I mean, yeah, I've got work in the morning, but hey, I've loved every second of this. Thanks so much for coming on, and we'll definitely have to do some. Maybe we could do something. Have you and Eric on sometime. I think that would be really fun. But either way, I'm so glad that you came on and told your story. And I mean, because I wanted to have you on so that people could hear it and hear about the amazing things that God did in your life. So thank you so much, Jake. It's an honor for sure.
Yeah, man. Oh, I appreciate that. I would just, I think it would be amiss if I didn't say that, for anybody listening, that Christ came into the world to save sinners. I quote Paul when I say of whom I am the foremost, but I think it was Piper that said that he takes men like me and makes them monuments of his mercy. And so, if anything, if everyone disbelieves everything I say except one dude, and my story is a seed that gets watered to bring him to Christ, then I'll be happy in heaven with that. So
yeah.
I appreciate your time, man. And I also just want to emphasize that critical thinking means you don't believe everything I say and take it at face value.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That's part of it. You don't just listen to me and say, oh, this guy says he's a Christian and he's got a cool story, so he must be telling the truth. Only God knows the actual truth of everything. But I hope that what is it? I'm 34. Hopefully the 11 years without a scandal have, there's no new accusations against me, has proven the Lord's work in my heart. But if not, then I guess we'll find out on the other side, man.
Yeah, for sure. Amen.
Teach me how to worship you for who you are.
Thanks again so much to Jake for coming on the show. If you guys, for some reason, have not heard Front Porch Step's music, I definitely recommend you guys check it out, especially his new stuff. It's great. Go support him. And I hope you guys enjoyed the interview as much as I enjoyed doing it. But it's time to respond to some comments from my last video, the skillet video that I did a few weeks ago. I definitely agree with your sentiment, Boom Blocks. I was also a skillet fan. I know that's probably hard to believe, but yeah, I was really into them for a while, and then I got into heavier things, and I just haven't gone back. So, good video, subbed. Thanks, Phoenix Pest Control. While I do agree, Revision, I'm not sure if I know what you're talking about. I wonder what that album art looks like. Oh. Okay. And yes, I do agree. I think that there are some pastors that would be better screamers in a metal band than they would be actual pastors. Just a hot take there for you. And that's all I'm going to respond to. Thank you guys so much. Feel free to comment on this video. Let me know what you thought, and if this conversation with Jake spoke to you in any way, I'd really love to hear your thoughts. I'm working on some cool stuff as usual, so stay tuned. And yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. Just remember that I'm Clifford today, and you're not.